For over 15 years, Saturdays and Illegal Curve have been synonymous with one another. With insight, analysis, and interviews regarding the Winnipeg Jets, the Manitoba Moose, and all around the NHL, here are Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mindell. The Illegal Curve Hockey Show, presented by Play Now, the official sports betting partner of the Winnipeg Jets, starts now.
Good morning, Winnipeg. Good morning, Manitoba. For all those joining us live this morning on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, we say good morning, universe, and welcome to the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. With Dave Manouk, with Ezra Ginsburg, I'm your host, Drew Mindell, here for the next couple of hours. Tons of Jets talk to get to on this Saturday morning. As we were just saying off air, we could do a 4-hour show without blinking an eye. We'll do half that, but it'll be twice as good as if we did a 4-hour show, so it all balances out in the end. I think that's a good way of going about it. Gentlemen, great to see you both. Ezzy, nice to see your patriotism on display, waving that Canada flag ahead of the battle against Morocco coming up in about 3 hours' time.
Yeah, good morning, boys. Obviously, happy Independence Day to everyone that's watching or listening on the podcast from the U.S., because obviously today is the 4th of July. So obviously we got to get that in there for our neighbors down south. So happy 4th of July. But also, yeah, you mentioned, Drew, Canada versus Morocco, not even arguably the biggest soccer game in the history of Canada. As you mentioned, it's going to start early afternoon. I think it starts at
noon.
1 o'clock.
12
or is it noon? It's
yeah.
noon. Okay, that's good to know, Drew, because I need to, get ready for that. So really exciting. Yeah, absolutely. I've got the flag here, and proud Canadian, as we all are, obviously. And but as Dave mentioned, so much to talk about. Obviously, we're going to focus on the Jets, but boys, that Leo Carlsson $18 million offer sheet. I mean, obviously, I hope we touch on that, but wow, did that shake up the hockey world last night?
No question about it. Tons to talk about. The Carlson offer sheet, rumors of additional offer sheets being extended. We'll keep you all abreast about everything that's going on all around the NHL. I'm wearing an Argentina jersey at the moment. I'll change into a Canada red in a little bit. The reason why I'm wearing an Argentina jersey, because I'm sure some people are curious about that. I had the pleasure, and let me tell you, I do mean the word pleasure. I had the pleasure of watching that Argentina-Cabo Verde game last evening with a number of my Argentinian friends, and to say that they were living and dying on every single moment of that back and forth battle would be an understatement. So it was just great fun. I obviously don't have an overwhelming rooting interest aside from cheering, hoping for my friends to succeed, but that was a hell of a game. So I said I would wear the jersey, at least to start this morning's show here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We welcome to the program Dave M., flying back to Winnipeg in time after attending TNT's wedding yesterday at Madison Square Garden. Fortunately, he had the PJ all fired up and ready to go. He flew in and flew back for this morning's show, probably nursing a little bit of a hangover. But Dave, how was Adam Sandler's song at the nuptials yesterday evening?
I thought it was great. I mean, you're right, Drew. It was tough to go from Kevin Cheveldayoff's speech at Hockey for All Center and then get on the PJ, fly to New York, get to Madison Square Garden, Ezzy, enjoy the nuptials, enjoy a few beverages, and make sure I was back in time so I could do this fantastic show. Because as you two touched on, there is so much to talk about. Like, it seemed like, obviously, we've got a ton of Jet stuff to talk about. It's funny, right? When we go to, it's amazing during the season when we're doing shows every night. We can, even when we're doing shows, if there's something to talk about, we can get it in because, of course, we're coming out to you every second night, basically. Right. But when we go to once a week, there is such a buildup of news that, remember, we last spoke to the folks in the audience, unless I saw you at Hockey for All this week, as Mike just pointed out, Mike from Brandon, who came for the scrimmage yesterday. But I think what it comes down to, though, is that like we literally, and Drew, you had to take off, and Ezzy and I finished last week's show talking about the Samuel Rennick, the 3rd round pick of the Winnipeg Jets, a guy who probably, Ezzy, is flying to Slovakia, still smiling. I don't think I've ever met anybody who is as happy as that kid is at getting drafted. It was, and I did a one-on-one with him on, I think, Wednesday, I think. And even throughout the course of that interview, he was just smiling the whole time. So if you missed anything from development camp, you shouldn't have, because it's all on illegalcurve.com and our YouTube channel. But what I was going to say is, so there was all of that going on. There was free agency going on. And I felt like I was texting our group chat every night saying, well, if it couldn't get crazier today, it got crazier today. Because
you have a group chat?
Well, do we not text in a
joking, Dave, as if I wasn't included in the group chat.
Fair. But anyways,
we only send you the good stuff.
Yeah, that's true. But anyways, so yeah, it was just, to me, it was just a crazy week in the hockey world. It turned it upside down. But of course, I mean, the Jets made the big signing, Stuart Skinner. What does that mean for 37? They signed Mario Ferraro, who we're going to be speaking to in about an hour and 20 minutes. So two big signings.
Hold on though, Dave. You can't mention Mario Ferraro and not give Drew his flowers for last week. Look, like we got to give props. Like I've been patting myself on the back, Barry Horowitz style, because I picked Carolina to win the Stanley Cup successfully. Drew successfully predicted that the Jets would sign Mario Ferraro. So Drew, I got to give it to you, my man.
Thank you. I do appreciate that. Every now and then the blind monkey hits the right key on the typewriter, and that would be exactly what happened in this case. But it just made, from my perspective, a lot of sense. So why don't we start there? We'll start with the signings the Jets made at free agency, and then we'll get into the whole litany of things. And we'll start with the back end, where is it Mario or is it Mario? Did he sort of clarify if it was Mario or Mario in terms of proper pronunciation?
I think it's Mario.
Okay, we'll go with Mario.
I would say, like, again, I'm not fluent in Italian, but Mario, I think, would probably be more like the proper Italian way, right? Because
that's what I would think.
I would think so too, but now you're
like, is it pasta or is it pasta? That's sort of, where you put the emphasis on the right syllable. Things.
You probably should know this, considering we're having him on in 20 minutes, an hour and 20.
You would know. You're my resource.
Well, guys, I'm sure he'll tell us. Like, if we ask him what he prefers. Like,
yeah,
he's like,
exactly.
Can you guys not read?
In any event, when we were talking about free agency last Saturday, and we were talking about the Jets' needs, it just screamed out to me that this was almost the right player for the right time, for the right fit, for the right team.
Mm-hmm.
And from the Jets' perspective, when that announcement came out, I guess it would have been Wednesday. It was sort of Wednesday late in the evening, almost probably
around
7 o'clock.
7
o'clock, that they signed him. I'm like, this is the right fit. This is a good signing. This is one of those signings where, July 1st free agency, there's usually a lot of not great moves made on July 1st. I don't think that this is one of them. The price is reasonable. The fit is a glove. This is what the Winnipeg Jets needed. They needed an upgrade on the left side of their third pair of the defense. No disrespect to Hayden Fleury, but he's better suited as a stopgap measure. He's better suited as a 7 or an 8. So starting the year with Hayden Fleury as your third pairing left side defenseman, to me, was a glaring hole. And the Jets went and they filled it with probably the best option that I think was out there. A guy who has played higher up in the lineup for the San Jose Sharks. And has done admirably in those roles. But the expectation would be that Mario Ferraro is going to win his third pairing minutes. And if those minutes start with Elias Salomonsson, that's a good way to ease him into the lineup as a regular. If it ends up that it's a third pairing of Ferraro and Dylan DeMello as the season unfolds, if Salomonsson keeps getting elevated on the right side, the Winnipeg Jets, I think, will be very, very pleased and very satisfied with how their third pairing is now looking for next season, given the signing of Ferraro. Just a very astute, smart, proper signing. It reminded me of when the Jets stole Dylan DeMello from the Ottawa Senators. They got Dylan DeMello for what? If I recall correctly, a third-round pick. Is that what it was when they acquired him?
That sounds right.
Trade? So many years ago, and look how much value they've earned from Dylan DeMello being a member of this team. Just an under-the-radar, not flashy player who is going to only help your team succeed, who is going to help your team just solidly improve your team, exactly what the Jets needed on their back end.
I love the signing, and it's not just because Drew predicted it. I really like the signing because for a lot of the reasons Drew mentioned, right? Like, he makes your defense better, right? Like, you've still got Hayden Fleury there. as kind of your number 7 defenseman now. I think we would agree that's kind of where he is on the depth chart. You've got Jack St. Ivany, who's, your kind of AHL/NHL defenseman, a guy that, I think most likely, only gets into the lineup if there's some injuries to the Jets' top 6, right? But Ferraro makes a lot of sense, and the contract makes a lot of sense. Like you said, Drew, right? $4 million a year on a 3-year deal. Like, he's still in his prime, guys. Yes. Like he's been in the NHL for 7 years with San Jose, but he's only 27 years old. So this is prime time for a defenseman, and this is a guy who can move the puck. Like, and the thing is, like, nobody's expecting Ferraro to come in here and put up, Lane Hudson or Quinn Hughes type of numbers. But he's a guy that he had a career year last year, 7 goals, 23 points, and he averaged 20 minutes of ice time. Like Drew said, he played I don't know exactly how much. I don't follow the Sharks enough to know how much he played in the top 4 versus on the third pair. But I think, guys, the writing was on the wall. Once San Jose acquired Darnell Nurse and Jacob Trouba, they acquired Michael Kesselring, right? So the kind of writing was on the wall. But, that's to Drew's point. Chevy swoops in there, and they clearly wanted this player. We've been talking about him for a few years now. This was a guy that Chevy admitted that was a top target for them, right? In addition to Stu Skinner was a top target. So they got their guy, and Drew's right. Like, this kind of reminds you of Dylan DeMello, like a guy that is going to come in and have an impact and make the defense better. And that's something that we've talked about quite a bit, that, the defense in front of Connor Hellebuck wasn't good enough last year. And this is a guy who blocks a lot of shots. I think he blocked about 150 shots last year for San Jose. So this is a good, solid veteran defenseman, but he's also young enough that I still think he has more to give.
Yeah, this isn't a player who's necessarily on the downside of the career. This isn't a guy, you're not signing a free agent here who's 31, 32, 33, who's getting that one sort of last payday. This is a guy, like you said, 27 years old for a defenseman is a perfectly reasonable age. You sign him 27 through the age of 30. Again, you don't have to worry about the curve, the aging curve so significantly. It was just logical.
He played all 82 games last year for San Jose. I know that Dave M noticed that. And the last few years, he's only missed I think a total of 8 games or something.
82 this year, 78, 72. Right. So he's reliable for the last 4 years. He's been reliable for at least, the maximum, he's missed 10 games a year, give or take. That doesn't obviously mean anything for future casting, but it's, again, the price, the term of the contract, everything about it was just something you say, that's just a check mark. That's a solid signing. Credit to the Jets organization, credit to Mario Ferraro for signing here, of course, but everything about this just was a logical thumbs up decision from my perspective, Dave.
I agree with you. Hold on one second.
Mario Ferraro.
From the NHL.
So Mario.
Ready? Let's play it again.
Yeah.
Mario Ferraro.
Mario.
There you go.
Yeah, not Mario.
Not Mario. Not like the Nintendo game.
Yeah, come on, guys. Let's be a little bit more Italian here.
Yeah, I know.
Mario.
So I think what it comes down to, though, Drew, I mean, look, I got the comment up from Same Old. It's 4th in shorthanded minutes in the NHL. Great shot blocker. I mean, and that was the subject of the conversation that we had with him on Thursday when we spoke to him. But you're right. I think it is. I mean, look, Kevin Cheveldayoff, when he spoke yesterday, talked about his 2 targets. And he was like, they got them both. They got both the guys they wanted. And it's been kind of a gleeful week, if you will, for Kevin Cheveldayoff in that regard with being able to draft Vigo Bjork and now getting the two free agents that they wanted to get. He said that one they didn't get done until, obviously, as we said, later in the day. And I think the other thing that we have to focus on is that this doesn't block the prospects who are coming up. It doesn't block the Sasha Boumedians. It doesn't block the Alphonse Frays, because their timelines are roughly within this framework of, okay, if Ferraro is in the last year of his deal and you want to get one of those guys in, well, you either can flip him or you move him, adjust him accordingly. But for me, that was the key, is that you didn't sign a guy and sign him to 5 years with the intention of, okay, we're going to re-sign Josh Morrissey and Dylan Sandberg. So our left side is basically locked up, and now no prospect is going to get a chance to get in there. Well, Sasha's going back to
Ohio
university.
State. Yeah.
Yeah, he's going to go. Well, not back to Ohio, but
He's going
for
to
the first
Ohio
time going to Ohio State.
Yeah.
And he's going to be there for at least one more year, maybe two. And then you've got Alphonse, and we don't know where he's going to be next year specifically. But the fact is that these guys are going to need at least a few years. So for me, that was kind of the key, was you get a guy for right now, who is, as you said, pushing Hayden Fleury into a more appropriate 7th role, occasional stopgap. If we get a guy who's injured, he can jump in. And look, he was able to do it, and he can definitely play in your 3rd pairing, especially I think if you keep him fresh, right? If you keep him fresh and he's not playing every day, I think it'll be better for Fleury. And I mean, I know some guys don't like it because it gets them out of rhythm, but so I think there's a benefit to the Jets in the current state of the franchise, and also not blocking guys in the future. So I think it is a win-win for this team. And again, you get a guy who, I mean, one of the things he talked about, and I'm going to ask him about it later, is just this idea that, he heard about the way the franchise treats its players. And that's obviously a good thing, right? And again, Cheveldayoff was asked about that, and that idea that the organization, for whatever flaws Winnipeg has obviously a very good reputation for players around the league. And he said he's got a young family, and for a guy who wants to settle down, Winnipeg was a choice for him. He's a Toronto guy, and he chose Winnipeg. So I think that's, and the other thing, and Drew, he had offers. It wasn't like Winnipeg was his only shot. So that's why I think it's definitely a win-win for this organization.
Yeah, everything about it from the Jets' perspective is logical. Mario Ferraro said all the right things in his media availability. And of course, he will join us in a little bit more than an hour from now. So you'll get to hear from him directly here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We can ask him, as we undoubtedly will, about his decision to come and become a member of the Winnipeg Jets. Just everything I thought about this one was a thumbs up, as I've said repeatedly here. But at the same time, not to be the Debbie Downer, vis-a-vis free agency and vis-a-vis the Winnipeg Jets team, they've improved with these moves. They've improved with getting Mario Ferraro. They've improved with getting Stu Skinner, and we'll talk about that throughout the course of the show as well. But the question is, have they done enough? Have they done enough to, one, return to being a playoff team? Have they done enough to change their ceiling? And have they done enough to satiate Connor Hellebuck and his desire to win a Stanley Cup, first and foremost here in Winnipeg, but win a Stanley Cup, period? That would be the counter argument to look at the flip side of the coin. That would be, have the Jets done enough with the drafting of Vigo Bjork, the signing of Ferraro, the signing of Skinner? Does that really do much in terms of changing their ceiling and changing their prospects for next season? Would be, I think, a legitimate question to be asked. Or do they need to do more, whether it's another free agent signing or a big trade, if you will?
I feel like the Jets are halfway there, right? Or maybe a little bit past halfway there, right? Like they've needed to beef up their defense, even though, we've talked about, ideally you would like to bring in a top pair right shot defenseman, but we know those don't grow on trees. So you've beefed up your defense. You've brought in a really solid veteran player that makes your left side now with Morrissey, Sandberg, and Ferraro is excellent. Yeah, it's right up solid there. It's really good. And the right side is a different story, and we've discussed that. But for the time being, so you've addressed your defense. You've brought in Stu Skinner as a 1A, 1B backup. I like the signing, right? You only signed him to 2 years. It's a very reasonable cap hit. The question that you asked about Hellebuck, Drew, is the big one, right? And like, I personally still think Hellebuck is going to be traded. I think we all know that the Jets were close to trading Hellebuck at the draft, right? In terms of who Hellebuck is traded to, I have no idea, right? Like, could be Carolina, could be Buffalo, could be New Jersey. Like, could Florida reemerge? I don't know. Like Dave said, I don't know how you're trading Hellebuck without asking for Anton Lundell in a trade back. But the point is, I still think, guys, when you sign Stuart Skinner, I don't know if you're committing that much money and you're bringing him in as Hellebuck's backup. I could be wrong, but I still think that, it's just a matter of time before Hellebuck is traded. Again, that's just my opinion. You guys might have a different opinion, but that's what an opinion is, right? We're all entitled to one. But I still think, guys, that the biggest thing for me is I would like to still see an infusion of scoring in the top six, right? So And that goes back to all of the questions, because we talked about it on the draft, at the draft party, right? Like, now that you've got Vigo Bjork, is he a guy that you envision as possibly a second line center? Even though at 18 years old, there's no precedent for the Jets ever having someone that young play, that elevated a role, aside from Patrick Laine. Patrick Laine is the only guy that stepped in right as an 18-year-old and played in the top six. Obviously, you're talking about a winger as opposed to a center. But the point is, the Jets' big need for a 2C, like, has that been addressed? And I go back and forth and I say, well, yeah, Vigo Bjork, he's different. I mean, he's played pro already in Sweden. And obviously, we've heard Mark Hillier say, the Jets are going to give him a shot at second line center. So that's the big thing. Is he too young to be a second line center at the NHL level? I think there's definitely an argument to be made that he's not strong enough or experienced enough to be, to give him, anoint him as the second line center. But that would be the big thing for me, Drew, is that I still look at this lineup, and yes, Isak Rosen is an exciting young player. Brad Lambert is an exciting young player. They've got other players. Braden Yager, is he a guy that, if he has a good training camp, can he make this team and maybe even be the second line center? Like, I think that's a big ask. So I think that there's just a lot of questions when you consider that second line center position. Like, do the Jets think that they can fill that internally? And if they don't, then they don't have to go out and acquire one. But I still think that, there's a lot of question marks about Bjork and Yager, and if they're able to seize that role at such a young age.
Well, worth noting, Dave, that Kevin Cheveldayoff was asked about Vigo Bjork's future position in the NHL, and his answer was short and succinct. Vigo is a center, period. So there was no there was no lengthy Chevy speak kind of answer on that one. He made it perfectly clear where he's going to play for the Winnipeg Jets, assuming all goes to plan, and that is right up the middle as the center. Also worth noting, you were at Dev Camp all week long, as you were there as well at times. Based on all analysis, he was the most impressive and the most talented of the Winnipeg Jets prospects that were on the ice at development camp, Dave.
Oh, yeah. I mean, he's the guy who, again, he's a player that the Jets organization hasn't had, as he says, like since a Laine or an Ehlers, where there's like an electric, they have something electric about them. It's just, I don't know how to describe it. It's as I wrote in the morning papers, a je ne sais quoi, because it really is like a.
Mom's a French teacher, folks.
My mom, a retired French teacher, but she was a French teacher for many years. It didn't translate to her son, unfortunately, but I do my best. Thanks Google Translate. But yeah, no, I mean, I think it is one of those situations, Drew, where it's just amazing to watch the Vigo mania, your Vigo mania. The only question really is, should Vigo mania be hyphenated or not? But other than that, Vigo mania really seems
I think it's one word. Vigo mania is one word.
One word. It's got to be a hyphen. Oh, yeah. It's a conjunction. It's two different words being put together. You can't just make up your own language.
Conjunction, schmunction. Drew,
well, it's funny, Drew. It's
not a real word. So
that's what I'm saying. It's Vigo mania. It's you have to add the hyphen next to it.
It's okay. Nick Lynham and I are on it. He's making t-shirts up.
All right. Well, look, and until Vigo, whatever, insert hyphen or not, mania signs his contract, he will presumably be going to the SHL for next year. But yeah, I mean, I do think it is. I think the kid has. I mean, he's a nice kid. He's down to earth. We heard from him a couple times this week. I mean, you can just see it. You can see it in the plays of our media availabilities, right? Like when you look at it. I mean, Vigo.
Desert Lab. See that comment from Desert Lab, Drew? It's one word. Just like WrestleMania.
Look at the comment from Blake. Vigo mania has to be hyphenated. You see, the chat is not in agreement on this one whatsoever.
We'll ask Jamie Thomas. He'll come up with an answer.
Let's do that. Jamie, you ready for us? You're gonna give us a thumbs up? I think Jamie's ready. Okay, Jamie, Vigo mania, one word or a hyphen?
Hyphen.
Thank you.
Jamie's thinking, is this how I'm spending my Saturday morning?
Well, I mean, Jamie
you should spend Saturday morning talking about useless things, right?
Yeah, well, Jamie does owe us one after he's tried to snub us on our way into the draft party last
I
Friday.
was talking to my wife on the phone.
And we're more important than your wife. We've had this conversation, Jamie.
You should be thankful that my headphones are in for that one. So
Good morning, Jamie.
Of course you are. Of course you guys are. Yes.
Thank you. Good morning. How are you?
Wonderful. How about you guys?
We're doing very well, thank you. Like your proud girl dad, Mug.
Yeah.
Ezzy and I can echo those comments as well. But we're also boy dads, the three of us too. So we have
funny how they get left out.
Bases.
Well, they leave that out all the time.
I know. No one's ever be proud. Well, because that's if you're the girl dad.
You're not proud. Son, I'm not proud of you. Sorry.
Seriously, they're probably in a ditch right now, like shoving berries up their nose or something. I mean, let's be honest.
Just think of all the therapy sessions that comes from one mug.
So that's trying to get this show back on rails. Not that we ever do have it back on the rails. We were talking about by and large, what has been a good week for the Winnipeg Jets. And we really spent some time on Mario Ferraro, just how he sort of fits like a glove on the back end. So why don't we start there, Jamie? When you saw the news of the signing of Ferraro sort of later on Wednesday, what were your sort of immediate impressions when you saw the contract and the details and things of that nature?
Well, I think Kevin Cheveldayoff kind of echoed this yesterday, or not so much, said this yesterday. You almost felt like they were done after Stuart Skinner because they're just the market wasn't very sexy in the whole scheme of things. But when I did see it, it kind of it shocked me for one reason only, because of where the San Jose Sharks are and their grade back up. Like they're on the up, and he played his entire National Hockey League career in San Jose and not one single playoff game. And now you're starting to get a sniff of things. So what that tells me is that he sees what's going on here. And I remember this brought up too as well, is just how well their players are treated here. And they are treated well. Like I've traveled with the team, they're treated very well. And that's just from a travel perspective. But to hear that from both him and Stuart Skinner is very impressive. The other part is that says he has an opportunity. Clearly they're on the up and up in San Jose. That's a heck of a team they're building there. But what he sees now is an opportunity to win. So even though there was that little hiccup last year, and I will always call it a hiccup because everything that could go wrong went wrong for the Winnipeg Jets last year. I think that says a lot about what the opportunity is still here to win, and to add somebody, a 27-year-old left shot defenseman, the guy that blocks shots. And I was speaking with Drew Amenda, who works on the radio broadcast for the Sharks, and he said this is a team first guy. So you've already Stuart Skinner is a great human being. I've heard nothing but good things about him. Same thing with Mario Ferraro. So I was very excited when I saw it, and now you start to wonder how this all fits out in the whole scheme of things. But very, very excited about when I saw that happen.
Jamie, you mentioned Stuart Skinner, and we want to get your thoughts on Stuart Skinner. But when you look at the totality of day one of free agency, the Jets bring in, and Chevy mentioned this, those were two top targets. Right, Mario Ferraro and Stuart Skinner; those were top targets.
Yes.
What does that say to you about that narrative that players don't want to come to Winnipeg? Players don't want to sign here. The no movement clauses. Players have Winnipeg on their destinations that they don't want to go to. Certainly, kind of disrupts that narrative when these are two high profile players that decided to sign in Winnipeg.
Yeah, and they're not like 32 or 33 years old. They're 20 in the prime of their careers. When I look at Stuart Skinner and listening to him, it's amazing how quickly he brought up Wade Flaherty. And I think, you guys have been around long enough. I don't think Wade gets enough credit. And I think it's because he's low key. He doesn't do podcasts. He doesn't do interviews. I think there's a big reason that's part of it. But you look at his track record, Laurent Brossoit and Eric Comrie, where have their best careers or best career years been here? So I think that if you're Stuart Skinner, and I think it's amazing how quickly people forget that he went to back-to-back Stanley Cup finals. That doesn't matter if the numbers are there. He got his team to the Stanley Cup final. I know, yes, Connor McDavid, Leon Draisaitl, I go down the list of the guys that played for the Edmonton Oilers, but you need goaltending to get to the Stanley Cup final, period. He got them there. I know he didn't play all the time the second time around, but still the opportunity, and it's on his resume, and he's had a little bit of success and came very close to winning a Stanley Cup. The fact that he wants to work with Wade Flaherty to, I don't want to say resurrect his career, but maybe get to where he's wanted to be in the first place. And if you think about Stuart Skinner in Edmonton, look how fast he became the starting goaltender. Like there wasn't really much time in the minors spent by Stuart Skinner. He was pretty much the guy as soon as possible. And maybe that's what part of the problem was. It was just too soon. But the Oilers are so desperate to win with the guys that they have, they would just throw anybody in between the pipes. So the fact that he wants to come here to resurrect his career, and I believe he can, based on Wade Flaherty's track record and the fact that he's only 27 years old, and going back to Mario Ferraro too, just what they have done, what they accomplished on that first day. That's probably in the short time that I've been here, their best first day of free agency that I've been a part of, and I think that caught a lot of people off guard, especially in a market as small of quality, small amounts of quality players that you'd want to sign for your team. So it was a very exciting day. I love how it's in the middle of development camp with all the futures sitting right there. And I remember asking the guys in the content department, this just shows my age. I'm like, how many times has this been when has free agency been during development camp? They're like, the last 4 years. Okay. Anyways, so how kids look at the old guy all the time. Okay, where's this guy been the whole time? So
easy there, Gramps.
Stay with us, buddy. So I find it was nice because it's like right in the middle, and then you continue to see the future, which I thought was a really good week for the kids, showing what they have. So it was a great week. Like, it was, considering the way this year went, to have this week, to have the draft, to get Vigo Bjork, and then continue it on over the next 7 days it was very successful in my eyes, and I'm sure you guys agree with me. It was just a great 8 days for the Winnipeg
good
Jets.
Vibes, Jamie. I think you'd agree.
Yeah.
Like, I was only at Dev Camp I saw you there on Tuesday, but
right.
The good vibes are back for Jets fans. Like, the vibes were high at Hockey for All Center.
Yeah, it's I'm not saying that Vigo Bjork is Patrick Laine, but I feel like he carries the same air of confidence around him that Patrick Laine did. They're just like and the way they answer things and the way they talk to us, like he's not lacking any confidence. And I'm not saying he's cocky. He's not at all. He's just a very confident kid, and for good reason, because after what I saw this past week on the ice, you can see why he carries that much confidence, and the things he's accomplished in his short life is incredible. And I think it helped many a Jet fan to see how happy Chevy and Mark Hillier were. Like, Mark Hillier almost cracked a smile a couple times when he was doing. He's a very serious person, and I'm just making jokes here about that part. But I've never seen anybody so happy about a draft pick that Mark Hillier and Kevin Cheveldayoff. Like, when Chevy interrupted Vigo's Zoom call with us, like, that was great television to me. Like, it was just somebody that was so happy to have somebody on board, and the fact that he said there were a lot of calls. And when the 8th pick was coming up and it looked like they were going to have it, that he said no to everybody. And I can see why, man. Like, this kid's special. And it's nice to see Jets fans happy and positive after just such a dry year in terms of something to be happy about.
Well, Jamie, that was going to lead into my question, because I was going to ask you about Vigo Mania and your thoughts, because I agree with you. Like, I've never seen like Cheveldayoff and Hillier so gleeful after making a selection. Like, I was just like, I was going back in all the years we've ever heard from them since Mark took over, and obviously for Kevin, and like, this was clearly like they were like so happy, and I was like, this is shocking a little bit, to be honest with you, that they're this pumped up. And even when Mark was asked, whether Vigo would be an option for this year.
Did you see that? I didn't see that coming at all. Like that.
And his answer is like, he goes, I've never been this excited about a prospect in like ever. And I was like, in my head, I'm like, well, I guess if I'm one of the other prospects, I'm probably not so excited about that answer. But
they won't hear about it anyway. So
yeah, that is true. These guys never hear anything. It's true. But it was just, yeah, I agree with you in that regard. I thought Vigo Mania this week, he was great with all the fans. He was obviously impressed by what he saw in his responses to us yesterday with, talking about the city, talking about the way he was treated. So I you kind of did the Vigo. If you want to touch on Vigo Mania a little bit more, you can. But to me, the other question for you is, there are a lot of other new kids in the, on the block right now in terms of kids who were drafted and just in terms of the overall development camp week. Like, what did you notice? Was there anything that kind of jumped out at you from either A, some of the new recruits, or B, some of the kids who are coming back for another development camp after being drafted?
The thing that impresses me the most about this all, guys, is development camp. I think what people don't realize, a lot of these kids' seasons have been over for a very long time. Like, I'm sure they're still training and getting ready for next year, but the start and stop must be very odd for them. Plus, the kids that are being drafted, it's like a whole new thing. You've already gone through draft year, And that's got to be heavy as much as it is all the interviews, all the process, the flying around, worrying about what you're going to do. You never mind your on ice stuff and your off ice training. And then you get drafted and all of a sudden you're rushed off to this new city and you're meeting a whole bunch of new people. So I've always been impressed with the kids, the way they could do that. But this week, like when Vigo touches the puck, the fans, you can just kind of hear them get excited. And that's fun. That's fun to me. Like we're watching. And that pass he made yesterday in the scrimmage, like just anything he did was very impressive. And I understand. And we're not getting over top of ourselves. I understand this is not against NHLers, but he looked above his peers already at 18. So that part, I'll be on Vigo Mania all year, all day long. And I'm looking forward to training camp and so on and so forth. And that's the other thing. Mark Hillier may not have meant to say what he said, but September sure got a heck of a lot more interesting, didn't it? Because like when the Jets go to training camp every year, there's not much to decide about who's going where. It's been the top 6. Where's this guy going to fit in? Yes, sure. Who's going to replace Nikolai Ehlers last year? I can go down the list, but it's very rare that we're not quite sure about how all the pieces fit. And Chevy also said there's still more changes coming, which is also something that's rare that's coming. But going back to what I saw this week, Karenik's huge, but man, can that kid move? Like I've talked to Drew McIntyre a bunch of times, and he says ideally a 3rd or 4th round is good place to draft a goalie. And I texted him after Karenik was drafted, and he was happy, like beyond happy. So there's another person on the list I was overjoyed about about draft weekend. So he's a big kid. Like Naring he looks like he's starting to command things a little bit. And he added the fact that he's added 12 pounds yesterday. You're always wondering about how he fits in. But Dave, you've been a big part of the Moose. I say this all the time. I've only been here a short time. The fact that they keep graduating players, their draft picks into the Manitoba Moose, and there's way more this year, and there's not as many free agent signings to fill up the Moose roster, to me is very exciting. Like the fact that, Colby Barlow got a chance. Yes, he got off to a slow start yesterday, but from my accounts, I didn't watch any games last year. Listening to Dave and listening to everybody else, like he started to catch on towards the end of last year, right? Yep. So it's just that the shot is there. It's just everything that has to come with it. Elias Salamonson, again, NHLer. But I can go down the list of guys graduating. Kieran Walton had 2 fantastic years in the Ontario Hockey League, and you looked at him yesterday. He's a guy that stood out. And how can he not? He's like 6'5", but still, the fact that he can move the way he does and the confidence that he has with the puck is something I don't think we all saw as a 5th-round pick. Kevin He is like dominant yesterday. Like he looked like where he wants to be. And I like how Kevin pointed out in his media availability that, he's showing the kids around. He's only been here a short time, but there's that leadership quality that he's had. He was captain in Niagara. The way he handled himself, because Niagara's not exactly the greatest place in the world to play in the Ontario Hockey League. The Ontario Hockey League has to have Niagara there. It's just a great spot for travel locations, but it's not a good organization. Like there has been a lot of change, and Kevin didn't ask for a trade or didn't want to get out of there, that type of stuff. You know what I mean? Like he's a good kid. So the way he played yesterday in the scrimmage was fantastic, but it's just, you're starting to see all the pieces, the guys they drafted are starting to filter their way into the Manitoba Moose. And to me, that's exciting. That's when if you're a fan of the Jets, you're going to go to the Moose game because you're starting to see these kids that they've drafted. You know what I mean? Like it's just all this graduation to the Moose is exciting to me, and certainly for you, Dave, because it's great content. And for you guys on the show too. But I was very impressed with what I saw this week in the growth of a lot of players. I kind of wanted Colby Barlow to dominate a little bit more yesterday, but outside of that, I mean, still see when he rips a shot off, I'm like, oh, there it is. That's why he's a 1st-round pick, because it's just like that's a gift that he has, and I'm sure it's going to translate eventually.
Jamie Thomas, our guest on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show Saturday morning, our program brought to us by our friends at Play Now. Jamie, Kevin Cheveldayoff said there's more changes to come. He said that they're not done yet. Whether that means free agent signings, whether that means trades. Let's bring this all back to Connor Hellebuyck, because that, of course, is the big question that has been hanging over this offseason. Here's what Kevin Cheveldayoff had to say about the latest with Connor Hellebuyck. This is from yesterday's media availability.
Connor Hellebuyck is a Winnipeg Jet, and there's really no update at this point in time.
I see how I went with this.
Yeah. That was a pro head nod right there.
Yeah. Why are we even asking?
Yeah. Short and sweet from the Jets
Right.
general manager on that. It's now July 4th. It's getting to the
Would be a
time
heck
of
of
the
a day
off.
to do it.
Yeah, it's getting to the time of the off season where things begin to quiet down.
Yeah.
What of Kevin Cheveldayoff and his status do you think moving forward? As training camp is, the captain skates are going to be here in a couple months.
Right. Okay. So we've all heard the rumors. We've all aware of it. Obviously, Kevin's aware of it because he's alluded to the fact that they've been taking calls. Yeah. And I don't know, like Stuart Skinner's not like they're the hardest thing in the world. If you're keeping both both Connor Hellebuck and Stuart Skinner, what is that, 13 million, 14 million in the salary cap on two goalies?
That's
About 11.
only about
11 and a half.
11 and a half. Okay.
Yeah, 12.25 to be exact.
There you go.
That's a lot of cap.
About the price of Igor Shesterkin, isn't it?
Yeah. So, and who held out for a very long time in a really bad Ranger team. But he obviously proved his worth because without him, they're nothing. It's very hard to see them going forward with that much money invested in two goaltenders. It's rare to think of it. The fact that it feels weird to think of Stuart Skinner playing 18 to 20 games. That feels weird when you think about the whole scheme of things. But what we've learned about Kevin Cheveldayoff over the years is he will not be backed into a corner. He will not make a deal that's going to hurt the franchise in the long run. We've seen this story many times before. People asking to go. And Chevy's held all the cards, even though there's been no trades and all this stuff like that. But he's always managed a way to get value. It's going to be very challenging, though, to replace or get full value on a guy that's won the Hart Trophy and 3 Vezina trophies. That's going to be the hard part. But we've looked at the 2 Stanley Cup finals. 2 Stanley Cup finalists this year. Goaltending wasn't exactly their strength. Like Carolina just plays a suffocating style of defense, and then it's very hard to get through the goaltender, whoever is the person back there. I don't think anybody saw Brendan Bussey lifting the Stanley Cup for the Carolina Hurricanes earlier this year. Freder Anderson, good goalie, just hard for him to stay healthy and play consistent. And then we don't even have to talk about Vegas because Vegas has just had just come on in. Can you play goal? Come on in. Hey, you look good? That's what they've had. Those two teams prove that if you play solid enough defense, do you really need a Vezina Trophy winner, a Hart Trophy winner to win the Stanley Cup? The answer is you don't. So, I mean, I'm not saying the Jets are going under that thing, but Kevin Cheveldayoff will not be backed into a corner and make a deal that's bad for the organization. So, however this gets done, it will get done. Just where it goes and who it is remains to be seen. I know there's not many teams out there with the prospects or the ability to fill out the roster like the Jets need them to do with a trade of this magnitude. It will get done. It's just what it's going to be and where it looks like. But I guarantee you, he's not going to, Kevin, if he has to go into September and play with two and have Helly and Stuart Skinner's as 2 goaltenders, that's the way it's going to be. But he will not be backed into a corner where you're like, he has to make a deal that's bad for the organization.
I mean, again, we know how much Connor Hellebuck likes to play. I mean, he's on record of saying he wants to play every night.
Right.
But from the team perspective, if a trade doesn't materialize, 55 games of Connor Hellebuck and 27 games of Stuart Skinner, probably the best in terms of probably the best goaltending tandem that should be in the NHL, just in terms of the raw quality you can throw out there night in, night out.
Yeah, well, like anytime you have the matchup on the screen, the Jets are going to get the check mark of goaltending every time, regardless of if that's the case. So it's not going to hurt them anyways if they have to go into the season with Connor Hellebuck and Stuart Skinner as the goaltenders. So it's just how this all transpires will be very interesting to see, and we're all going to be beside our phone. Like, we're not in vacation mode at all because who knows when this is going to happen. And if it has to happen, then it'd be great if it's sooner rather than later. Instead of
then we can go on vacation.
then we can start out.
Of course, Jamie, don't forget. Man. Of course, Kevin did say something about changes can happen in September. So I don't want to. We don't want to be on vigilant mode till September.
Right. Yeah, exactly. Which was totally rude of him.
Yes,
because he holds all the cards. It's easy for him to say when this doesn't happen. It's easy for him because he knows what's going on. So anybody that thinks this is going to be a bad deal either way, I just don't see it happening. It's just finding the right pieces that fit. And again, there are holes to fill in the roster. So that's where I have a hard time. Like, now the goaltender doesn't have to come back in the deal, whereas before it did. or it looked like it did. So that changes so many pieces of this puzzle, because now you're not, we have to get somebody back, or we got to get a goaltending prospect that can play eventually. That doesn't have to happen, which makes the deal a little juicier in terms of roster filling out, because now you don't have that concern, because you have Stuart Skinner here to fill the void and has played plenty of games before, and I don't need to go into his resume. So it changes a lot of things, that free agent signing of Stuart Skinner, that is for sure.
Jamie, you mentioned the roster filling out, and that's something that we've talked about a lot.
Yeah.
Not just the last couple of weeks, but basically since the season ended, that there's a lot of prospects, forward prospects specifically in that system, and it doesn't seem like there's a clear place on one of the lines. And I realize that you don't always want to get fixated on second line, third line, fourth line.
Right. We always get scolded for that.
Exactly.
Right?
But I mean, there is a void in I mean, that was the big narrative, and I think you would agree that was a big problem for the Jets, that they were a little bit of a one-line team. There wasn't a lot of secondary scoring last year. And the question I want to ask you is, where do you kind of see Chevy kind of balancing that? Because we talked about Vigo Bjork. Like it would be crazy to suggest an 18-year-old could come in and seize that second line center job, but with Vigo, he's a special player. Like, arguably, I don't want to use the word generational player, but he's special. And he's a guy that, best player for Sweden at the World Juniors, was almost a point per game player at the World Hockey Championship.
On their top line,
which is something 18-year-olds don't do very often, right? Like you're going up against 27, 30, 32-year-olds, and he was dominating. So when you look at whether it's a Braden Yager or a Brad Lambert or a Vigo Bjork or whoever, Danny Jilkin, I mean, it's to your point about training camp. It seems like, there's a good possibility that we're going to go into training camp, and how these players play is going to determine, where they end up in the lineup.
Hey, listen, the season before Nikolai Ehlers last year in the National Hockey League was Brad Lambert's the most important of his career. Like the writing was on the wall that spot was there for the taking, and unfortunately for Brad, just didn't do enough, right? So the Jets had to do what they did last year with Gustav Nyquist. This is another one of those summers where Brad Lambert has the alarm bells have to be going off. Like Chevy said yesterday, there's a bunch of kids that have a very important summer in front of them. Nikita Chibrikov is another guy I can think of, right? Like that's a guy who could be a great bottom six player in the National Hockey League in my eyes. He could fit in nicely with Adam Lowry on the third line if he gets his. It wasn't fair last year because he's coming back from a pretty serious injury. So it's not fair to judge anything Nikita Chibrikov did last year based on the recovery coming back from a serious knee injury. So it's an important summer for him. Brad Lambert, Vigo Bjork, Braden Yager. This is a great chance for some kids too. Yeah, that guy gets left out all the time because it's just like he was a Jet last year, but this is a guy that scored 80-plus goals in the American Hockey League. So clearly the gift is there, because it's not the easiest place to score goals in. It is the hardest league, probably because of all the changes all the time. You have constantly new wingers, new line mates, guys going up and down, all that stuff, teams trying to win in the National Hockey League, and you're a secondary thought. So it's a little bit hard to be consistent the way that Isaac has been. That's got to this is a big summer for him as well. So the fact that they do have these options is very important in terms of what they're going to get back and if they make the Connor Hellebuck trade. But there's a lot of pressure on these kids, period. We need to get younger. We need to be faster. You are part of this picture here. So this is to me Brad Lambert's most important summer, because I believe he can do it. He just has to piece together. Most importantly, Danny Jilkin, short time, very impressed with what he did. His jump last year was incredible. I wasn't sure he'd ever be a solid NHLer for a bit. And I repeat myself, I don't go as many games as Dave does or watch as many, but that was the word. And now he's put himself in the picture. He can be a bottom six player in the NHL. So that's another guy I think of. And then I know Elias Salomonsson to me is an NHLer all day long. It's not a matter of if, it's now. So great summer ahead for these guys, and that the top six and bottom six have to be rounded out with the players that we've mentioned. I'm sure you guys mentioned a million times, but I'm really I believe Nikita Chibrikov can be a third line player, with Adam Lowry.
I really like, Jamie, just to cut you off. I really like Chiprakov. I've like Dave's watched him a lot, but a lot more than I have. But I just like the hustle and his tenacity.
Yeah,
and he can produce a little bit of offense. But I agree with you. Like I think he's a guy that's absolutely in the mix for a bottom six role.
He can fit in. So like he's just a perfect place to play, like the guy to play with Adam Lowry. Like just that tenacious that he can be effective with Adam Lowry to get. Will he be able to do it every night? I don't know. That's the consistency part. But the third line of the Winnipeg Jets has to be somewhat near what it was the previous, 2-3 seasons before this last one, because that to me was a gaping hole in why they couldn't be as effective as they were the previous years. Because that line stirs the drink for them. It can't. They run the show. Adam Lowry's line when he's healthy runs the show, not Mark Scheifele's line. That's the checking line. That's the line that can produce offense every once in a while and really set the tone for the game that's ahead. And that's why I feel like the Jets have always been so good against the Central Division, because of how good their third line is. If Nikita Chibikov is a big part of that, I'd be thrilled.
Well, I mean, I think part of it is that idea of getting back to having an identity, because unfortunately, like last year, and the identity was old and slow.
Yeah,
and it just didn't. It just didn't work in today's NHL, right?
It was apparent fast. Like I point this out all the time. That road trip they went out west to Los Angeles, San Jose, and Anaheim. That's when you saw how slow they were.
Right.
Like they've always struggled in LA, but the way that Anaheim and San Jose torched them, like I haven't seen that in a long time. And we do have to give some credit to LA and San Jose and Anaheim. They've been building up into this point, but that's when you knew. I'm like, holy crap, they could be in trouble. Because the other team, like it's always been the same teams they've been fighting with in the West. It's the same story year over year: Colorado, Minnesota, Dallas, Edmonton, Vegas, and that's pretty much it. Now it's just like it's Utah. I still don't believe Chicago's anywhere. I keep saying Chicago's coming, but I just don't see it right now. Still.
Well, here's the quote from Chevy yesterday. We're looking to get faster. All the signings we made on the skater side of it can skate, said Cheveldayoff. I mean, that was the offseason goal. Is clearly they recognized the error of their ways last year, and now that they're trying to rectify that. They're trying to remedy that.
Here's something. When I talked to Jonathan Toews the day before his announcement, said something that stood out to me. He said, Arnie was leaning on me for 2C minutes, and whenever I got those minutes, I couldn't be the player he needed me to be. It's like that. Like to me, that's the most impressive part about the greatness of Jonathan Toews is the fact that he recognized that he needed to be the 2C, and he couldn't do it. Yeah, and a lot of that, like that, and he was a little bit emotional when he talked about it too, right? Because it's just he's such a proud individual, and as much as this season was a tough one for all of us. To watch Jonathan Toews not be successful as much as he wanted, and we wanted him to be, it's even tougher on him. Like he flat out said he wanted to bring a Stanley Cup to Winnipeg. Like that was flat out the reason why he signed him. Clearly he would, because he had lots of options. But the fact that he couldn't provide what the Jets needed from him for a proud player like him, to me, said everything about why. That was another reason why last year wasn't as successful as we all wanted it to be.
Well, Jamie, so the only other thing, in kind of feeding off Ezzy's question, when you list off all of these guys, none of these guys have waiver exemption. The only guy on the team next year who likely is going to have waiver exemption is Elias Salamonson. So none of the forwards are going to. How do you see this configuring? You've got, look, we know that the Jets are hoping they're going to get bounce backs from a number of players: Neil Pionk, Adam Lowry,
Cole Perfetti,
Dylan Sandberg. So there's your four core guys, and then you've got Nemestikov and Niederreiter as well. But the problem is, I just don't see it. Right? You've got all of these young players who, again,
almost too young, right?
Well, yeah, but I mean, like a guy like Isak Rosen, you want him to jump in. You want all of these, Brad Lambert, Nikita Chibikov, Danny Zhilkin. I guess the question becomes, like, do you try and be strategic? Use some good old strategery in terms of putting guys on waivers. No. In terms of if you're going to try and sneak guys on through waivers, do it on the last day. So you're going to minimize your risk in terms of losing them. But to me, like that's the biggest question mark. You don't have the luxury of saying, well, you're not quite ready, kid, so we're going to throw you down to the Moose. Now you're like every one of these kids either plays for the Winnipeg Jets or you're at risk of losing them.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, and then that's where the summer comes in, right? And also, Dave, a lot of part of this plays into what is the if you trade Connor Hellebuck, what is the return? So you might be backed into these guys might have to, but I agree with you. It gets very complicated if you bring everybody in and then they have to produce, because this is not a year where you're like, oh, we're rebuilding. This is a year where you have to contend again. Like this is like, you have to be in the mix. They have to be a playoff team. It's not slowly but surely. It's just the way they get better is faster, younger, but they also have to be a playoff team because listen, it is very hard for them to see as an organization them going, we got to have back-to-back years of not making the playoffs. So it's not just so much play the kids and then hope for the best. It's like it has to be locked in. This is their decision. We're going to ride this out and see how this works out. If that makes any sense.
It makes as much sense as the things we say on the show, Jamie. So you're in good company there. Last one for you. I mean, we know that the secondary scoring was a big issue last year.
Yes.
That after Connor, Scheifele, Velarde, it was hard for this team to come across goals at least on a regular basis.
Right.
Do you think that there's a player still available out there in free agency that could be, one of those wingers that could come in and fill in on that second line? Assuming Perfetti signs.
Yeah. Yeah, which is also big. Yeah.
I mean, the guy who jumps to mind, of course, is the guy who's been linked, to Winnipeg over the last number of years, a guy like Anthony Mantha, who's still unsigned. I mean, he got the big, he had 33 goals, I believe, for Pittsburgh last year. Or do you think that sort of the free agency window is mostly closed at this point from the Jets' perspective?
I'm just going off what Chevy said. Just feels like there's not much else there, right? Like doesn't seem like he kept saying how unexciting the prospects were. Man, Anthony Mantha and size would be so great. Because it's just when you look at what's missing out there, but what he did last year was tremendous. I just don't know like how that all shakes out. So I feel like where their fixes through free agency isn't there. It's just how this all like the Chevy the Helly trade to me is all the integral part of this whole puzzle as we go into it. What you get back, because it's going to have to be roster players. Period.
There you go, Jamie Thomas. Good friend of the
Jamie,
show.
Where are you watching the Canada game?
In my house, buddy. In my house. Where are you guys going? I know. Listen, I love the World Cup. I'm a huge fan of it. The emotions that come out of it, but the fact that Canada's in the round of 16 is crazy. I thought they'd win their group, but I thought maybe the elimination round play the game of 30, the round of 32, and that would be it. But the fact they're here, but Morocco, man. They do not give up a whole lot. They made the Dutch look average, and the Netherlands are attacking at all times, and they did not attack at all. And that tells you how good Morocco is. So if they beat these guys today and set up a matchup against France, whoop.
Sorry, Jamie, was that an invite to the Thomas household to watch the Canada Morocco? I make some mean nachos, Jamie. You've never had my nachos.
You guys just said my wife's not important, so I don't think that
works. Jamie, the only problem with Ezzy's nachos is he brings them over and 3/4 of the plate are already gone.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like in the office where Holly brings back the mints and she's already eaten half the chocolates because she got hungry. That's Ezzy. That's Ezzy and his nachos. Here, I left you some cheese. It's over here. So it's underneath.
He brings a case of beer to the party. Unfortunately, the case has already been drank.
Yeah, it's true.
Somebody else is driving, of course.
Naturally, he's walking. Yeah. He's safety first and foremost. Jamie, thank you, buddy. We'll talk to you again real soon.
Yeah.
Thanks,
Have
Jamie.
fun, boys. See you, boys.
Too. Be well. There he goes. Jamie Thomas joining us this morning here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Always great to catch up with our buddy Jamie. We'll go to break. Mario Ferraro joining us at the bottom of hour number 2. Much more to come. Much more Jets talk to come. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg. It's the Illegal Curve Hockey Show presented by Play Now. Don't worry, folks. I'm going to change into my Canada Red. So on the other side of the commercial break, it'll be like a whole new host. At least clothing-wise. Stay tuned. Much more to come.
I want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling sites instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
Do our profits benefit your community?
No. Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre.
Boys, I've made an important life decision, and I need your support.
Oh boy.
I've decided to get a grill.
You mean a barbecue grill for cooking? Like, that's not an important life decision, Ezzy.
No. A grill for my teeth.
A grill for your teeth? Do I even want to know why you're doing this?
It's simple, really. Every time I go to Holt Dental, I get treated so very well by Dr. John and his team that I need to keep finding additional reasons to go back. I rely on Holt Dental for all of my dental needs, and they do it all, from regular cleanings to cosmetic dentistry. Plus, they have free parking at their front door, and you know how much I love my convenient parking.
For all your dental needs, Illegal Curve recommends Holt Dental, conveniently located on Taylor Avenue near Grant Park Mall. For more information, visit them online at holtdental.ca. For over 40 years, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has been Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy. Renowned in the comedy world as a must-play venue, Rumors has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers, wedding socials, and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase show tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
Alrighty, back to wearing the red to support Canada ahead of their game against Morocco coming up in a couple of hours' time. Thanks to my friends in Argentina for lending me the jersey and allowing me to share my allegiances a little bit every now and then. Very briefly, I should say. Drew Mindell, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, Mario Ferraro joining us at the bottom of the hour here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Stuart Skinner was signed by the Winnipeg Jets. That was the first of the free agent signings that they made when free agency opened on Wednesday, signing a 2-year deal, $3.75 million per season. Here's a little snippet about what Stuart Skinner had to say about playing in Canada, playing for the Winnipeg Jets.
Yeah, I mean, that was, majority of my NHL career so far. Obviously, it's I'm still 27, so it hasn't been super long, but in saying that, I feel like I've learned so much. So playing in a Canadian market, I mean, I know that being in a Canadian market, we want a Canadian team to win the cup. Not only that, but I mean, that was another reason of my choice with Winnipeg. I think the type of team that it's built up, we got a good chance. And I think that, that makes it very, very exciting for me. So I understand the pressure going into a Canadian market. I know that the fans are incredible, and the fans are, they're always there rooting for you. So that's another amazing part about it. And I playing against Winnipeg, I always felt like it was a really hard building to play in. The fans were amazing there. They were always cheering on their Jets. They're very passionate, and that's extremely exciting for me.
That's the newest Winnipeg Jets goaltender, Stuart Skinner. I like the Skinner signing for a couple reasons. One, if it can take some workload off of Connor Hellebuyck, if Hellebuyck is still here, I don't think that's a bad thing. We know that Hellebuyck is not getting any younger. We know he wants to play as much as he humanly can, but we also know that he was injured, at times last year. He missed that chunk of games that undoubtedly affected his performance during the season last year. So having a guy like Stuart Skinner to be able to be there to support him if they end up playing together is certainly a good thing. But I also like, and Jamie mentioned it when we were talking to him, this means you don't have to acquire a goaltender necessarily in a trade if you deal Connor Hellebuyck. And I think that is immensely important, because if you were making a trade with Buffalo, I don't think anybody was getting particularly excited to get back UPL as part of that deal. Yeah, he's a fine goaltender, but he's not really anybody that's going to leave you titillated. Now, instead of getting a goaltender back in return in a trade, you don't necessarily need to acquire one because you have Skinner signed. All Skinner signing costs you is money. You can maybe get another roster player, another prospect, another draft pick. I like it just from the supporting the current goaltending situation, as well as vis-a-vis the return in a Connor Hellebuyck trade. Another logical move made by the Jets front office during this free agency period, I thought.
I agree with a lot of your points, Drew. I like the signing. And not only has Stuart Skinner played for a Canadian team, he's played in his hometown, right? So that's even added pressure, I would argue. Not to say that, guys can't handle it or Skinner couldn't handle it, but just something of note that he's an Edmonton boy, right? And, again, this was a top target of the Jets. Chevy talked about this. And like you said, Drew, I don't think anybody's expecting Stuart Skinner to play 60 games for the Jets next year, but whether that's as a backup to Hellebuyck or whether that's a 1A, 1B, right? I tend to believe that in a Hellebuyck trade, there won't be a goaltender involved. Again, this is just, I think now, especially with Skinner in the picture, so that now they can acquire either a second line center, a second line winger, top six center, whatever, right shot defenseman, like you said, Drew, and then they can address who their backup's going to be either via free agency or via trade. I don't know, I don't know what goalies are, currently out there right now. I don't know if a guy like Sam Montembeault, for example, is an option, or, did Aiden Hill sign with somebody? I didn't even notice. But goaltenders like that, right? I think it could be a timeshare situation where you bring in a goaltender that's going to make a similar amount of money as Stuart Skinner. So it makes a lot of sense considering that we expect Hellebuyck to be traded, right?
So here are the goalies that are still available on the free agency: Connor Ingram, Cam Talbot. That's it, basically, in terms of free agent goalies. So there's not a lot left in the absolute free agency world.
The reason why I bring up Drew, the reason why I bring up Sam Montembeault,
sure,
is because you've obviously got Jakob Dobish there, and then you've got Fowler,
right,
who's now turned pro after playing in NCAA,
right, and then Dobish just signed the big contract extension this week in Montreal. So
then Aiden Hill, you've got Carter Hart there as the number one goalie. So Aiden Hill would be a guy you'd acquire via trade. That's why I brought up those two guys. I believe Jordan Binnington still is there's
he's
talk
still in St. Louis,
but he's a guy that maybe could be available, right? So I mean, you're talking about, these are guys that are backups. These are 1A, 1B guys. These aren't guys that are going to play 60 plus games like Connor Hellebuyck does. But Dave, the fact that you bring in Stuart Skinner is you have a guy who has demonstrated that he can win at the NHL level. He's not elite. Our buddy Jesse Granger, posted this on Twitter. His numbers are not elite, but he's a guy that can give you a solid 25 to 30 games for sure.
Well, he played 50 last year. He played 51 the year before, 59 the year before, and the 50 before that. So, I mean, this is a guy who can take on a starter's workload, Dave, without, that wouldn't be unusual territory for him.
I think what's so fascinating is the fact that we don't know what the plan is. Right? We don't know. I mean, we've talked about it. Even Stuart Skinner obviously didn't really want to get into it when he just said, look, I'm coming there. Right now, I'm in a tandem with Connor Hellebuyck. I mean, he also has Ray Petkow as his agent. So
they share the same agent.
So that was kind of funny when Kevin Sheldayoff was asked if that was a little awkward. Of course, he didn't reveal anything.
Can we talk about that for a second? I'm not sure why that was, to me, that's not, what is that? That doesn't matter at all. That doesn't mean that Connor Hellebuyck's going to stay or go. I'm not sure why people were so into that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's just kind of is it weird because you're basically, in theory, you're acquiring a guy who could be your starter, and with the idea that you're trading away the guy and you can't really have a free flow of conversation because the guy you're going to be doing that for is his agent. So
Comrie's also Eric Comrie, who signed.
I'm pretty sure Ray Petkow, if you're a goaltender, you have to be under Ray Petkow's
exactly.
Agency.
Tutelage.
So yeah. So no, I mean, I that to me is the interesting part. Look, this organization would do well to remember that one goaltender in the last 20 years, Ezzy, has won the Stanley Cup for his team playing more than 60 games. That was Jonathan Quick.
His name was Jonathan Quick.
Jonathan Quick, and that was a long time ago. But the fact of the matter is,
2012, I think, Dave.
Was it 12 or 13?
Doesn't matter.
13 Chicago ones.
Chicago, yeah. So I guess you're right. It was 12. But anyways, the point is that it hasn't happened. Vasilevsky, the most he ever played when he won his cups was 58. And this, I even asked Scott Arniel about it at the beginning of the year. He's like, yeah, our plan is to get, Connor Hellebuck less games. And it's like, well, wait a second. He played 7 games in the Olympics. Even with his injury, he still played over 60 games. So again, if you want your goaltender, Connor Hellebuck can want to play every single game. Has Connor Hellebuck stolen playoff series for the Winnipeg Jets that I'm unaware of?
No.
So what are we talking about here? You can't keep, if Connor Hellebuck wants to talk about, you can't keep doing things and expect the same. Well, guess what? That applies to you as well. And that applies to your sort of desire to play as many games. Like, the days of Marty Brodeur or Arturs Urbe playing 72 they're done. It doesn't happen anymore. I'm not saying that you can want it, but if your desire is to be a team guy and to win the Stanley Cup, well, guess what? That means that you have to play 55 games in a season. So you are fresh for the playoffs, because you haven't been fresh for the playoffs. And you didn't, how did you look in St. Louis when you lost every single road game that series? So, ultimately at the end of the day,
lost every single road game last playoffs. He lost all the games in Dallas too.
Right. So I think what it comes down to is that, again, do I think that Connor Hellebuck's going to be here next year? Honestly, I didn't. Then I do. Then it changes every few minutes, right, Ezzy? So that's a question that remains. But I think that the addition of Stuart Skinner gives you someone who's more reliable than Eric Comrie, has way more experience than Eric Comrie, both Edmonton-born guys. But although Skinner lives in Calgary now, he doesn't live in Edmonton anymore, he said. So he'll be connecting with some of the Calgarians on this team as he in the summer, training with guys like Adam Lowry, Josh Morrissey, although Adam Lowry's been in Winnipeg. So I don't know that he's in Calgary.
Ty Bauer.
Yeah. Oh no, Ty Bauer's in Winnipeg all summer as well. I bumped into him at the rink. Him and Isaac Phillips are staying in the.
Well, Dave, Ty can't get enough of that illegal curve sandwich from Bernstein's, right?
That's right. So, anyways,
I hope that's not his off-season training program.
No. But I think what it comes down to, though, is that again, we don't know. Like it's so hard to have. We're having an abstract conversation because we don't know as to whether Connor Hellebuck and Stuart Skinner are going to be your tandem. I think if they are, then I think that, and again, you have to have faith in the way they're going to be used. But I think the organization would be well served, looking at the history of this team, to have Connor Hellebuck playing fewer games. Now, it may be that he's playing no games because he's been traded from Winnipeg. But I just think that, again, like I said, you as he went through it, how many of these teams are going to end up having, have won Stanley Cups because they had the goaltender who played, 60 plus games. And like I said, there's been one in the last 20 years.
It is amazing that we're sitting here, July 4th, Hellebuck. It's still, there is no resolution to it. And it doesn't seem like there's a resolution imminently, upon us. It seems like it's almost everybody that was involved in this is almost, at least temporarily, turned the page to other business. Mm-hmm. That their focus is now shifted, whether it be arbitration cases, whether it be what remaining free agents. But it seems like once that deal didn't materialize at the draft or in the lead up to the draft, I would say that the next opportunity for it is potentially September. But do you want to sort of start your training camp or have that kind of seismic change occur right when you're in the midst of a training camp, or right when you're about to start a training camp where, all of a sudden your 3-time Vezina Trophy winning goaltender and your Hart Trophy is not there anymore. And now you have this influx of other talent that you have to slot in, whether it be among your forward group or among your defensive group. Now, it can happen, and I'm sure the coaches will pivot for it, but, you sort of spend the summer leading up to training camp so you can have a plan to start the season off on the right foot. That kind of seismic move at the beginning of September would be unusual, certainly, especially for a Jets team that has done signings in September, but not usually massive franchise-altering trades.
The Jets might not have, and they might not control that, right, Drew? That's my answer to that is that if Chevy doesn't get the right deal, then we might not see the deal happen until early, late September, right? Like,
if at all.
Sure, if at all. I mean, again, I tend to think that the Jets' desire is to trade Hellebuck before the season starts for a lot of the reasons that you just named. Like, I don't think they want it to be a distraction. And how could it not be a distraction, right, guys? Like, everybody knows that the Jets almost traded Connor Hellebuck. Everybody knows that Connor Hellebuck, whether he's requested a trade or he said that he would be open to leaving, I think it's kind of the same thing, to be honest with you. I think we're talking about
they've opened up their relationship and he's interested in dating other people.
Yeah, exactly. I wasn't necessarily going to go there, Drew, because I think it's going to get a little bit weird. Like, does that mean that Hellebuck went on a date with the Buffalo Sabres? Is that what that means? But
don't need to torture the analogy any further than I just already tortured it.
Okay, we won't.
Use it as a jumping off point.
Yeah, absolutely. But so that's an unknown, right? And like, yeah, I agree with you, Drew. Like, it looks like things have quieted down, right? Like, and I mean, like, let's be honest, like, some of the insiders, they're already, at the cottage. They're, after July 3rd, usually things start to quiet down. But as we know, things can, pick up very quickly. But it certainly doesn't seem like a trade is going to happen, in the next week or two. But again, I quite simply don't know, right? Like, I just don't know. And I don't think anybody does because, we know that they were close to trading Hellebuck. There was talks with Buffalo, but there was also talks with Carolina. I mean, can we also talk about the Kevin Weeks tweet? I mean, the Kevin
so
Weeks
unnecessary. It's so self-indulgent.
I didn't like that.
I hated it.
So unnecessary. If you know something, just
you know what the funniest part is, like, you could have if he included some words with it, but to be so vague is just beyond obnoxious. And it's like, and I get it. Like, obviously, Markstrom gets traded from New Jersey to Florida. Yep. So he's clear, and we know that Weeks is tied into the New Jersey organization. So obviously, someone, my presumption, because this is what you are lead to do when you see something so stupid, is you speculate. You either ignore it, which I tried to do, or you speculate about it. And to me, it's like someone in Jersey said, "Yeah, we're in on Hellebuck." That would be my guess is what Weeks is coming from. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that Weeks doesn't know his stuff and have connections. He does, and oftentimes he's in on something, right? But like, it was funny. I saw a response from he must have done something about the Rangers like almost 3 weeks prior, because someone said, "Yeah, well, we're still trying to wait for him to explain his Rangers tweet from 17 days ago." So, I found it. I'm with Ezzy. I thought it was stupid and
the only reason why I bring it up is because that had everybody thinking that a trade was imminent with New Jersey.
Because to his credit, he's usually, when he does that, there's usually news pretty imminently thereafter.
Right.
And by the way, his shtick with the whole like showing the
thing,
forehead, the forehead, the videos, like, come on, like, it's so stupid.
I agree with you, Dave. Welcome to the dark side of being a curmudgeon. It's a wonderful place to be. You can hate on everything forever. But
it's funny. I like Kevin Weeks' analysis. I think his shtick is annoying.
Yeah. No, I agree. And again, I didn't want to, pile on Kevin Weeks because I think, he's a good broadcaster. No, but I mean, he's a good broadcaster, and we follow him on social media, right? Like, I have nothing against him personally. I just think, considering that Jets fans are so anxious, like the anxiety level is high right now, because like we've talked about, it's not every day that a 3-time Vezina winner is on the trade block, right? And so I just thought, Kevin Weeks putting out there was just, it was a bit weak to not follow up on it. Like, at the very least, he could have, said something.
Of weeks.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. There you go, Drew. But the point is, I think right now we all agree the Hellebuck, scuttlebutt has the Hellebuzz, as Remus calls it, has been, it's been quiet, but that can pick up very quickly. So like, I'm like, Dave, you might not be able to go on that fishing trip this year.
Dave's got he's got a satellite phone. This is the guy with a PJ. He's got a satellite phone. Don't worry about that. Here's more from Kevin Cheveldayoff yesterday about areas that they're still looking to improve the Jets in terms of the roster for next season.
Well, I think for us, obviously, we focused on, again, there's lots of changes. There's going to be a lot of changes to this team when you come to training camp and see, the different things out there. I think we're a much faster team. I think, you look at the back end, with Ferraro there, he's, kind of a good all-around player, can move, can skate, really competes. Again, is excited about the opportunity that, that is here for him. Again, there's lots of guys, I think, that, when you talk to them, even after their exit meetings and stuff like that, they had some down years, and they're, looking forward to trying to get back to the levels that, that they were at before, whether it was injury-wise or just, for whatever reasons. Those are the things that, you're looking for come September.
Jets general manager Kevin Cheveldayoff meeting with the media yesterday at the conclusion of development camp. Do you expect more signings, or you just expect that it's going to be sort of things, more on the margin than anything that's going to be significant? I'll start with Dave, because Ezzy appears to be chewing something in the middle of the broadcast.
It's a donut.
Yeah, I mean, it seems like he's put away his signing pen, Drew, from my estimation. It sounds like how they have the auto pen he's
fountain, ballpoint.
Oh,
I don't know how the auto pen works. So
it's a roller ball.
Ball. Okay.
But it seems like that, the guys, like, they're not, one of the things he talked about was that the Moose are going to be younger this year. They're not re-signing a lot of veterans like Jared Anderson-Dolan, who they didn't qualify. I thought maybe they'd kind of circle back and sign him. Mm-hmm. So he'll likely find a new hockey home. Phil DiGiuseppe, he's still without a contract, but
David Gustafson getting traded to Pittsburgh.
Yeah, they traded David Gustafson to add some D depth. I mean, you got it's going to be a lot of kids. I mean, we heard it from Jamie, right? Kevin He, Kieran Walton, those guys are coming in. You got other guys who are going to be Colby Barlow might be a wily vet at this point. So it'll be interesting in that regard. But yeah, I kind of got the sense that, they may do one more thing to augment this roster, Ezzy. But other than looking at a Connor Hellebuck trade, and the other thing we have to, and then obviously signing Cole Perfetti, which Cheveldayoff talked about kind of is his next priority.
Right.
That's kind of what I thought, because remember,
Perfetti can file for arbitration tomorrow, right?
Yeah, tomorrow he'll have the right. If they don't have a contract by tomorrow, he'll have a right to file for arbitration.
If we don't have a deal done by July 5th, I would assume he would file for arbitration. It's a natural process, and if he does, don't get too excited. It's part of the whole thing. It gives you guys something to talk about. That's what Chevy had to say about Perfetti's arbitration.
And then he said, and then he also added, don't get too worried. So, I mean, it is, he goes, just part of the process, and which obviously everyone knows, and no one's going to get too worried about it. But
I think was right, Dave, because we're talking about it right now.
We are indeed. And so, yeah, if he files for arbitration, the only good thing about that is it means it won't drag in, right? They'll have to get something done. And at least that would get done before the arbitration date, most likely, because neither side is going to want to go to arbitration. So then they'll have a time limit to get the contract done. So at least, and if he doesn't file, then obviously, then it can drag in. But so we'll see. That'll be something, of course, on a little site called illegalcurve.com.
There you go. The excellent plug. I'll tell you what, let's go to break. Mario Ferraro is set to join us in a few minutes' time, so we won't keep him waiting. We'll go to break. We'll come back. Newest Jets defenseman set to join us. Plenty more to come on this Saturday morning edition of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Drew Mindell, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and his donut, presented by Play Now.
I want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
do our profits benefit your community?
No. Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime, visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre.
Boys, I've made an important life decision and I need your support.
Oh boy.
I've decided to get a grill.
You mean a barbecue grill for cooking? Like, that's not an important life decision, Ezzy.
No. A grill for my teeth.
A grill for your teeth? Do I even want to know why you're doing this?
It's simple, really. Every time I go to Holt Dental, I get treated so very well by Dr. John and his team that I need to keep finding additional reasons to go back. I rely on Holt Dental for all of my dental needs, and they do it all, from regular cleanings to cosmetic dentistry. Plus, they have free parking at their front door, and you know how much I love my convenient parking.
For all your dental needs, Illegal Curve recommends Holt Dental, conveniently located on Taylor Avenue near Grant Park Mall. For more information, visit them online at holtdental.ca. For over 40 years, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has been Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy. Renowned in the comedy world as a must-play venue, Rumors has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers, wedding socials, and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase show tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
Welcome back to the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg with you on this Saturday morning. Bailey asks a very good question, as she usually does. Is today the last show? Is today the season finale? The answer, Bailey, is no. Next week. One more week of us before we will depart for our season finale. We will depart for our summer holiday. Of course, we can always choose to pop up again if and when it's necessary. But no, we will be back next Saturday morning as well. So be sure to join us then, at which point in time we will then depart for our summer holiday. We are pleased to welcome to the Illegal Curve Hockey Show the newest member of the Winnipeg Jets. Mario Ferraro joins us on the program. Mario, good morning. Thanks so much for joining us. How are things with you?
Yeah, thanks for having me. Things are great. Obviously, it's been an exciting week for me and my family. We're enjoying. We enjoyed Canada Day week, and we're having a good weekend here on the cottage. So it's been a lot of celebrating lately, and we're excited. We're excited to be in Winnipeg.
That's terrific. I know everybody here in Winnipeg is excited to have you shoring up the back end, and we'll get into that. But I'm curious. This is your first experience as with unrestricted free agency. How was the process for you? Obviously, you ended up satisfied signing here in Winnipeg, but from sort of top to bottom, how was the process in working with your agent and sort of deciding to end up as a member of the Winnipeg Jets?
Yeah, it's definitely a little nerve-wracking. I'll come out and admit that. It's obviously like you said, it's my first time, hitting the free agency market, and prior to going in there, you don't really know where you're going to end up. I think the mindset heading into things was to not have any expectations, because at the end of the day, when 12 o'clock hits in free agency, you don't know who's going to offer you what, or what team's going to come after you. We had some ideas heading into things, and I had some important things to keep in mind when heading into free agency. And when it came down to the Winnipeg Jets, I was looking for, one of the big things that I mentioned in an interview the other day was a winning team. And the Jets show that they have the pieces to win, and they've been a great team for the last several years. And a big thing that I didn't mention a couple of days ago, just after I signed, was I wanted to go somewhere where I was wanted, where a team would have show a lot of appreciation for my game and value, what I bring to the team. And so that was extremely important for me. I want to have an impact here in Winnipeg, and I believe I can. And, ownership and management so far have shown me that just by giving me a contract. So, and then of course, looking for things like how they, treat your families. And I got a family now, a daughter who's coming up on a year in August. So that's really, really important to me. And I've heard great things about Winnipeg. So nerve-wracking day, but like you said, obviously I'm extremely fortunate, and I'm very excited. I'm lucky to have this opportunity, and I'm excited to make the most of it.
Well, Mario, first of all, congratulations on the new addition to your family. And I wanted to see if you could take us like a little bit behind the scenes, not right now, but what it was like for you, because you mentioned you were at the cottage, I'm assuming in Ontario, somewhere in Lake Country. And I was just curious, like on July 1st, like, are you like, sitting down by the phone? Like, are you, maybe going for a run or something and getting away from it a little bit? Like, what's that like? I'm always curious, like, what's it like for a player like yourself, because it's obviously there's a lot of anxiety and emotions running through you, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, a lot, that's for sure. It's obviously this is my career, right? So there's a lot of excitement, there's a lot of nervousness, but it being a beautiful day here in Ontario. I'm in Georgian Bay, so it being a beautiful day and free agency landing on Canada Day, I kind of, I had a lot of family come up to our place here in Georgian Bay, and we celebrated Canada Day, but at the same time, we're hoping to celebrate a signing with a new team. I'll admit now that I think it was a bit more nerve-wracking having everybody there, expecting a contract, and what if it didn't happen? That's where I say about the expectations, trying to keeping them to a minimum, just in case. But it worked out, so no complaining there. But I'd say, was I on my phone a lot? Absolutely. Obviously, I was looking at my phone quite a bit, trying to be in touch with my agent, what's going on, because I just didn't want to miss an opportunity, of course. But at the same time, I was spending time with my daughter, my nephews, who I don't see too very often. I was on the boat a little bit and in the water, trying to get my mind off things as well, because it is a patient. It's nerve-wracking when you see players signing. 12 o'clock hits, players are signing, and you still haven't signed. So I wanted to stay patient and make sure the right thing came along, and that was a way of doing it.
Mario, one of the things you mentioned the other day in that Zoom chat was you said you heard that the organization treats the players and their families really well. And that I found that, to be an interesting line, and I'm sure the organization loves that perception is out there. But I was curious, how did you kind of come to know that? Is that you talked to other players leading up to free agency? Because that to me was something that was curious, because I mean, we know that as guys who cover the team that, the families are treated extremely well. But I was curious as to like a guy who's not from this market would find something like that out.
Yeah, it's just in passing of other players that have played there. Whether it's guys I play with at Worlds or players that I play with on the Sharks. I had a lot of guys come through on the Sharks in the 7 years that I was there. We had, a completely new team from the start of when I got there. So, and just getting to know people and just hearing, word of mouth and stuff like that. So, it travels pretty quickly. I think you'd be surprised about how much you hear about other organizations when you're playing with different players that have played in different spots. And yeah, that's just kind of how, I knew that. And it's not just players, to be honest. I've heard it from other people that I speak to that live in Winnipeg even. So just things that you hear, that's kind of how it, came to my knowledge.
Winnipeg Jets defenseman Mario Ferraro is our guest here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Now, Mario, you look at that Jets defense now, and you got Dylan Sandberg, a nice young up and coming defenseman. You got Josh Morrissey, perennial Norris Trophy vote receiving defenseman, maybe even a little underappreciated around the league itself. When you look at that Jets defense and how you slot into that, so what were your sort of feelings about when you sort of take a step back and you look at the defense you're now going to play a key role on?
Yeah, I definitely, obviously they got an amazing decor. Like you said, you mentioned some names there. There's a lot of mix of talent and obviously Morrissey being, nearing a Norris Trophy. I think it was a few years ago or whenever it was, an outstanding season, and he's had great seasons beyond that. I honestly, I try to. My game doesn't change depending on who I'm playing with. I'm always going to play the same way. I think no matter where I end up, I'm going to give it, I'm going to compete. I'm going to put my body on the line. I take pride in the D zone. I'm going to try and, shut guys down and make myself available. And so my part of the game won't change, but it does excite me even more to hear, to be on a team that, is willing to sign me in free agency, that values my game, like I mentioned in the first question you asked. So I'm excited just to add value to the team. But yeah, looking at the decor, I'm real pumped up. I think that, I'm hoping that I completed a little bit more. They've had a great decor over the years, so I'm hoping I add to that value, but it'll be exciting. I think there's good balance back there, and I think we'll build good chemistry pretty quickly.
Mario, you mentioned your time with the Sharks, and I wanted to ask about when you broke in to the NHL, right? It was the 2019-20 season, and there's just absolute legends that you're playing with: Joe Thornton, Patrick Marleau, Brent Burns. And I wanted to specifically ask you about Brent Burns, because he's obviously a fellow defenseman. Just signed, we should give him a shout out. He just signed another contract with Colorado. But what was it like to break into the NHL with a guy like Brent Burns, who's obviously a legend? He's currently on the 1,000-game plus Ironman streak. Like, just what kind of influence did he have on your career?
Yeah, he's a special person and player for sure. I always loved Burnsy because of how much he made me feel comfortable my first year coming in, and it's not just him. Like you said, there was, the list goes on of the legends that I got the, opportunity that I'm extremely honored to have been able to play with. I still keep in touch with, a lot of them today, Burnsy included, but he just made me feel comfortable. He made me feel like I was a part of the family there in San Jose early on. I think the biggest impact that he had on my career on the ice is just, it's as simple as it is, or as simple as it may sound, just, never take this game for granted. Just take advantage of it. You love the game, play it as much as you can. Like I've told this story a few times, but there was one time I got off the ice and from a long shift, and I was gassed. Like I was sucking wind on the bench, and the coach called Burnsy and I, because we were playing together at the time. He's like, "You guys good? You guys good? Can you go again?" And I was like, "No, I need a second." And he kind of lost it on me. He nudged my knee. He's like, "Bro," he's like, "never take a shift off. Never take a shift. You can do it. You can do it. You can fight through it. Like, one day you're not gonna be able to play this game. Like, you take advantage of every opportunity you get to be on the ice." And so that was a real eye opener for me. Especially as a young guy coming into the league. Like, there's a lot of scenarios that you can kind of relate to that. Like, if you're battling injuries, or, you're dealing with some aches and pains, like being proactive and making yourself available and being healthy so that you can be available and be on the ice as much as you can, so you're not going to miss an opportunity. And as a young guy, that's extremely valuable. That was extremely valuable for me, because it's for any player, but you never want to sit in the stands, for one thing, because you love to play the game and you want to be there for your teammates, but you also don't want to give, the other guy an opportunity to jump ahead of you. As much as this is, you're on a team and you're trying to win together and it's a family, it's still a job, and it's still competitive, and guys are trying to do the same thing you are, and play as, contribute to the team. And so I've always kind of had that mindset to, since from his influence, especially to be available and be proactive with injuries, which I think I've done a better job at, and just the preparation to just stay as healthy as you can, because obviously that's really his backbone. The way he works and the way he competes night in and night out, and how he's been able to do it for over 1,000 games straight is pretty mind-boggling. Like it's it's insane, but it's not even shocking to me because the way that he prepares and what he does. I mean, he would have a backpack that weighs 500 pounds when he's traveling on the road. It's just got everything in it. Like, I don't think I'll be doing that, but like he's got like a coffee maker and he's got everything. I don't want to go into everything he's got. You might come after me for it, but he's got everything in that bag. So shout out to him. I'm happy that he signed a new contract. I mean, he definitely deserves it. And, you know, crossing my fingers that it's a celebratory year for him in terms of, you know, the Iron Man. That'd be amazing.
You know, Mario, one of the things you do when you win a championship, you kind of have that bond forever. And Cole Perfetti and Gabriel Velarde are two guys you have a bond with. So just a couple of questions in terms of, like, did you rely on them in terms of when you were thinking about signing with Winnipeg? Did you talk to them at all? And also, what does it mean to get a chance to come back and play with those guys who obviously I'm sure you're familiar with from being in the Ontario area? And are there any other guys on this team that you have sort of a relationship with prior to joining this the squad?
Yeah, so obviously that World Championship tournament was amazing. We obviously shared an amazing experience that year. It was definitely interesting. I think we dealt with a lot of adversity, Velarde and Perfetti and I. You know, we started the tournament, I think 0-3, I think it was, and everyone was counting us out, and we found a way to make it in, and then we won through and obviously won gold. So it was a little bit like it was during COVID. We weren't able to go anywhere and we weren't playing well, and then all of a sudden we flicked a switch, and the coach believed in us there, Gallant, and it was just, it was a good ending. So obviously share that experience. Did I talk to them before signing? I think I said this before. The day goes by way too fast, and it's I'm not even thinking I'm just zoned in, and like you just don't have time to reach out and say like, yo, should I come here? So I just trusted my instincts and trusted the organization, and I you know, I have faith in where I'm going, and I'm more and more excited the closer we get as the days go on. So I didn't talk to them, but I'm excited to kind of reunite with them over there. It'll be exciting. Two great players that add a lot of value to that team. Obviously, I've been doing that for more than a few years now. So I also actually know Dylan DeMello, who is an amazing guy. I haven't spent a lot of time with him, but Logan Couture's wedding we met at in California. He was there. Obviously, DeMello played in San Jose, so they got to know each other. And just an amazing guy. I'm actually really excited to play with him. He's been reaching out to me and giving insight on where to live and you know, some other, you know, things you should know before heading to Winnipeg, which are extremely helpful. So he doesn't have to be doing that, you know, and it means a lot that he's reaching out and he's started, you know, trying to make me feel comfortable heading in there, because obviously, like I said, you know, it's my first time doing it. So excited for a guy like that to be on the team and for him to be, you know, adding his ideas and his 2 cents in there for me before I head there.
Mario Ferraro, our guest on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, you mentioned about telling that story about Brent Burns saying never take a shift off. Last year, you never took a game off, playing all 82 for the Sharks. The last 2 years before that, 78 games played, 78 games played. Clearly a reliable player night in and night out. You know, is that a mindset? Is that physical preparation of your body? I mean, things can happen so quickly in this league, so unintentionally, that cause you an injury. You know, how much pride do you take in that sort of consistency in being available to your teammates and to your coaches game in and game out?
Yeah, that's, you know, being available has been something that I care. I've taken a lot of pride in. I've cared more and more about over the years. I think the last few, it's hard to say because, like you said, injuries happen and you can't really control it, right? I've had you know, some block shots that, you know, have led to broken bones, and there's just not much you can do. And that's part of my game. That's something that I do. So it is what it is, kind of. Sometimes you just got to say it is what it is. Like, but I do believe that there is a bit of a mindset involved as well. Because like I said, the last few years, especially, I've kind of had that as a goal of mine to play 82. And it took me on the 3rd year this past season to do it. The couple of years before were, like we talked about, those injuries that, you know, you block a shot and there's just not much you can do. So I'm I'm super fortunate to have played 82, but I do believe that there is, a mindset. If you look at Burnsy, like he hasn't gotten lucky for over 10 years in a row. That's just you don't get lucky for over 10 years in a row. So there's something to do with it and the way he's treating his body and the way he's preparing. And yeah, I'm not. Can't say that I'm going to play every game. You never know what's going to happen, but I'm definitely going to work my hardest to be available every night for this team.
Mario, you touched on this a little bit earlier, but as you mentioned, this is a different summer for you. Not only are you a new dad, but this is a different situation in that you're moving to a new team. Like, how does that change your timeline? Like, and I'm sure you have a lot of help from people in the True North organization, but like at what point are you going to find a place, and like what's your plan in terms of like when do you get to Winnipeg? Do you get to Winnipeg like a week before training camp, or do you come like a little bit early to maybe get a little bit more acclimatized to the city?
Well, it started. My wife's on me about it. Rightfully so. She's kind of, taking a lot of initiative in it. So I'm grateful that she's stepping in and helping out a lot with the search and housing and stuff like that. I got pets as well. I got 2 big dogs, so we got to figure things out. So we're already on the ball. The Jets team, already, like I said, like I mentioned, that they treat their players well. We're already seeing that, and they're reaching out and they're really assisting on making sure we end up in the right place. And they're kind of hitting all angles on things that we need to know, for myself, for my dogs, my wife, my daughter. So everything has been really smooth so far. I'm extremely grateful, and we're on the hunt for a place. I think I'm gonna get there. I still have to talk to some of the guys and see when most of the guys do kind of arrive, because I got to balance it out, right? As much as I want to get there quickly, I want to make sure that a decent amount of the guys are also getting there. So our ice sessions and workouts we're starting to bond and to get together and to be on the ice together and stuff like that. So I'm gonna have to talk to them, but I think the first thing is just to have in place where I'm gonna be sleeping. So we're figuring that out right now. It's definitely already started.
Well, there's before Dave gets in here, Winnipeg's a fantastic city. Obviously, we've lived here our entire lives. There's lots of great neighborhoods, lots of good restaurants. Italian restaurants, all different types of restaurants. So you're going to be in good hands, and just let us know if you need a few recommendations.
I appreciate that. I am Italian, so I'm gonna appreciate a lot of good Italian food. That's for sure.
Yeah, you won't lack from that in this city, that's for sure. But Mario, what I'm curious about is your reaction to what's been going on in the NHL, because it just seems like every night something crazy is happening. Like the other day, we see the Leo Carlsson offer sheet. From your perspective, just does it see like we always look at it from a media perspective, but from you as a player perspective, how are you seeing the kind of changing NHL? Because everybody seems to be talking about the new NHL, and it just seems like every night, like whether it's crazy trades you're not anticipating or, like I said, offer sheets, the league is changing very quickly.
Yeah, I agree. I think you're just seeing, teams want to win. Teams don't want to wait, and they want to win now. And I think guys are doing whatever they can to make that happen with, obviously with that offer sheet and stuff like that, and other signings going on, and the cap going up, which is changing a lot too. So it's hard to say. Obviously, the style of play, I didn't play back when Jumbo played. It's not a knock at him or Patty Marlowe were playing when they were younger, but it's fast. The game is fast, and it's supposedly, from what those guys saying, it's changing in that way, right? It's getting faster, and I don't know, guys. Teams just they're jumping on the gun with players that they think they're going to help their organization and this and that. To be honest, I don't put too much thought into it. I just care about the Jets and our team and trying to win here. So I don't really care about what else is going on around the league and who guys are getting. But I think that's just what's happening. Teams are getting better. The better players are showing up in this league, young players, right? Like Leo Carlsson and many more. And so they're trying to win, and they're trying to, take advantage and capitalize on opportunities to get young talent.
Mario, we're bringing this to you from our YouTube channel, and I noticed the youngest of plugs from a couple of years ago was your YouTube channel, your foray into YouTube. So kind of I mean, I know you haven't run it in a couple of years, but just what was it like running that and kind of giving folks an insight into, a daily life of an NHL player?
Yeah, it was fun. I mean, I've been making videos for a long, long time. I think it was even before, like I wasn't even drafted yet. I think I was making videos. So it was, we're kind of doing it. I don't know. I grew up watching a lot of YouTube, and I was like, oh, that'd be a cool thing to do and make videos and stuff like that. And then once I signed and was playing with the Sharks, I was making more videos during COVID and stuff when that happened. So I enjoyed it a lot. I mean, I think it's fun. I think the fans appreciated it. I wouldn't even say that I'm done making videos. I'm a little busy now. But my life has changed. I thought I would have time, but you find real quick when you're a dad that you just don't have that much time. So, and then balancing, preparing to be an NHL hockey player is just probably not the key to having free time on your hands. So yeah, it's something that I did love to do, and I hope that I can eventually do it again or start it up at some point. And I think that, hopefully Jets fans would maybe appreciate it, but we'll see. We'll see. Yeah, it's on pause right now for obvious reasons.
I can assure you that if they spend the time watching us, there'll be plenty more of them tuning in to watch your YouTube channel.
I don't know about that. My videos go all over the place.
Yeah, Mario, there's a lot of Peppa Pig coming up for you, I think.
That's funny.
Last one for you, Mario. You look at all the players in the NHL, the defensemen in the NHL last year, you had the third most time on ice while shorthanded. Being a stalwart for your team while they're shorthanded and they're on the penalty kill, how much pride do you take in sort of being regularly called by your coach to jump over the boards and play those really difficult shorthanded minutes when you're trying to kill a penalty? Yeah,
that's a very important, piece to my game that I, obviously take a lot of pride in. Like you said, special teams is really important. And I think, I take this from what our PK coach, Doug Huda, kind of mentioned last year, was that, the power play wins you games, the PK loses you games. Right. So it's an extremely important part of the game. And, I get excited. When a penalty is taken. Obviously, can't take too many penalties, but it's going to happen throughout the game. Like, you're going to get a couple penalties in a game. And I get excited when that happens. I get excited for the opportunity to kill it and to build momentum, rather than give the other team momentum, to build momentum for us, whether it's blocking a shot, a big clear, stepping up at the line, not allowing entry. It just, it can help the team a lot and build a lot of momentum. So, I'm hoping to provide for the penalty kill. Obviously, I got to prove myself again in a new organization and earn that job and that assignment this year. But I'm excited to get at it.
Mario Ferraro, the newest member of the Winnipeg Jets defense. We look forward to meeting you in person. But for now, a great first appearance here with us on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Thanks so much. Enjoy your time at the cottage. Enjoy your family. We'll see you in Winnipeg in a very short period of time, undoubtedly.
Thanks, guys. I appreciate you having me. Look forward to meeting you guys too.
Likewise. Take care. There he goes. Mario Ferraro joining us this morning here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Just a terrific interview. That was just a lot of fun to catch up with Mario Ferraro this morning. If you missed any of that, of course, it'll be available on the YouTube channel. I'm confident Dave will cut it up and put it on the website.
Well,
put it up as a standalone post, and he's going to do all his magic that he always does when it comes to
I'm so behind on clipping and clopping and all the videos, guys. I mean, I'm not joking. I'm pretty sure, I think it's like either the Samuel Rennick one or my Victor Klingsell one has. I haven't done anything since then. So I've got about 8 or 9, including, Kevin Cheveldayoff, Jimmy Roy. We got lots of media availabilities that I have to start cutting up, but I will indeed be putting the Mario Ferraro on our YouTube channel as a separate standalone media availability.
Your pickleball question to Victor Klingsell was it for me.
Hey, it created a great reaction. He got mad at Alphonse Frey, but it was the kids went and played pickleball, I think, on Tuesday. And so, Ezzy, whenever this, you try and ask the questions that will elicit some sort of funny response.
Well, I'm thinking that Illegal Curve should get in on that and go play pickler with our buddy Jordan Farber, maybe, if he'll invite us there.
I hate pickleball with a burning passion.
But
I enjoy it. I play.
It's weird though, Dave, because Drew loves kosher pickles.
I do like a good pickle. That's fine. That's true. But I've explained this before on the show. I was a tennis player. I grew up playing tennis. I still envision myself and feel like a tennis player. Yeah. And then, I played pickleball. I play it with the kids, because it's a nice game to play with them.
It's fun to play out at Clear Lake, Drew.
I played it 3 times last week at Clear Lake Day.
Yeah, I was going to say, you probably were playing there.
There's no question about it. But deep down inside, I feel like a tennis player still. And I feel this is some sort of bastardized version of tennis. And I can't fully embrace it. We have plenty of friends who play pickleball and they play it at a high level and everything else. But for me, I can't fully embrace it just yet. I'll tell you what.
Okay, well, Dave and I will get in there on pickleball.
That's fine. You guys can go play pickleball on your own. That's a perfectly reasonable activity. Why don't we take our final commercial break? I think we still have one more to go, and we'll come back. Did I take 3? I can't remember if I took 3 or not.
We took one after Jamie. We took one at 10, and we took one at 10:30.
Yeah, so I need one more. So yeah.
Oh, I forgot Jamie was sorry, after Jamie.
Jamie went to an hour. Yeah. So we'll take one final commercial break and we'll come back with overtime here.
Yes.
On the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. We'll probably talk to Leo Carlson. We'll talk about Barrett Hayden as he's still got that large Canadian flag.
I'm telling you, like that. I said to you guys before, this could easily be a 3 or 4 hour show. I mean, it's insane.
Absolutely could be. But anyways, we'll go into overtime on the other side of the break. Don't go anywhere on this Saturday edition of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
I want to thank you for not betting with Play Now and choosing our illegal gambling site instead.
Because we couldn't afford things like this without your money.
So much of your money.
Now you might have questions like,
Do our profits benefit your community?
No. Or bet with Play Now, Manitoba's local legal and secure gambling site.
Dining, entertainment, parking, and convenience, all in one spot. City Place is located in the heart of downtown Winnipeg, attached to the Canada Life Centre. Whether you're working, living, or out for a night in the downtown, make City Place your go-to destination before or after the fun finds you. Lunchtime, game time, anytime. Visit City Place at 333 St. Mary Avenue, next to Canada Life Centre.
Boys, I've made an important life decision, and I need your support.
Oh, boy.
I've decided to get a grill.
You mean a barbecue grill for cooking? Like, that's not an important life decision, Ezzy.
No. A grill for my teeth.
A grill for your teeth? Do I even want to know why you're doing this?
It's simple, really. Every time I go to Holt Dental, I get treated so very well by Dr. John and his team that I need to keep finding additional reasons to go back. I rely on Holt Dental for all of my dental needs, and they do it all, from regular cleanings to cosmetic dentistry. Plus, they have free parking at their front door, and you know how much I love my convenient parking.
For all your dental needs, Illegal Curve recommends Holt Dental, conveniently located on Taylor Avenue near Grant Park Mall. For more information, visit them online at holtdental.ca. For over 40 years, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club has been Winnipeg's home for stand-up comedy. Renowned in the comedy world as a must-play venue, Rumors has recently been named Canada's top comedy club and a top 5 comedy club in North America. From birthday parties to date nights to fundraisers, wedding socials, and everything in between, Rumors is your destination for the best live entertainment Winnipeg has to offer. For information on upcoming shows, Rumors' incredible promotions, and to purchase show tickets, visit rumorscomedyclub.com.
At Boston Pizza, a fast lunch doesn't have to mean fast food. Now you can get a $15 lunch served in just 20 minutes, including your choice of a main, side, and drink. That's right, lunch for $15 at your local Boston Pizza.
We are back with overtime here on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. Drew Mandel, Dave Manouk, Ezra Ginsburg, Saturday morning, about an hour before kickoff between Canada and Morocco. So you have that to look forward to. As he mentioned, as we sort of alluded to throughout the course of the program, we have to talk about just the wild and woolly days it's been in the NHL. I mean, it started sort of quietly with that Barrett Hayden offer sheet in New Jersey, signing Barrett Hayden to an offer sheet, a sort of a nice, sly, sneaky offer sheet in that really puts Utah in a bind, and all they get back in return is a second-round pick. And then it went into overdrive yesterday with that Leo Carlson $18 million offer sheet that the Flyers handed out to him to put the Anaheim Ducks up in a difficult spot. Either give him 18 million for the next 5 years each year, or get 4 first-round picks in exchange.
67 points, Ezzy. $18 million.
So if you're the Ducks, Dave, what do? Do you take 4 first-round picks that are likely to be mid to late first rounders, or do you give them 18 million a year and sort of blow up your cap structure being the operative word there, for the next 5 years? I'm asking you, David.
Oh, I think you're asking us.
No, you.
I honestly, I'm fascinated by what, I mean, Pat Verbeek, this is the problem with having the legacy of being a grinder, is that, that you lead yourself to this. Because remember, it's not like Leo Carlson got presented this and he had to sign it. He chose to sign it. And I mean, it wasn't just one offer. According to the reports, there were 4 different offer sheets for him. He signed the one with the Flyers. I mean,
I'd love to know what other teams were involved on Leo Carlson.
I'm with you, Ez. I'd love to know. I would love to know. But I mean, the problem for me is, like, I understand that the kid's got talent, but he had 67 points last year. 67.
Yeah, he's young though. I mean,
No, I understand, but Demidov
is a player that most people think is kind of got 90-point upside.
For sure. I'm
just putting it in context. He's only 21 years old.
Yeah, no. Incredibly young, high, obviously a high draft pick. I'm just saying, but Demidov just signed, who had 62 points last year. For
Demidov regrets signing that contract, let me tell you.
Maybe. But my point is that, like, again,
what did Demidov get, Dave?
9 million, 9.5, I think. But the fact is, that was a Scheifele one, right? That's like, okay, we're going to pay you based on your potential. You know, you've had 1 year in the NHL. You put up 62 points. Yeah. I'm just saying that Carlson has 67 points. That was his second full season, I believe, in the NHL.
Yeah, his first year he played 45 games.
And he had 45 points, right?
No, he had 29 points in his first year. Then 2 years ago, 45. Then
67. So this is his third year.
He's gone up by 16 points, and then he's gone up by 22 points in each of the successive years that he's played in the NHL. I'm with point about being 90-point potential here.
I agree. I think the kid's got potential. There's no question about it. But I'm just saying, like, I don't know. Like
taking the 4 first rounders or signing them.
Like Kaprizov, like when Kaprizov got 17 million, guys, and I understand the cap's going up, but when Kaprizov signed for 17 million, I mean, he was still a 100-point player, or he actually hadn't been a 100-point player, but he'd had over 100 points in his career. I'm just saying, like, it's a lot. It's a huge gamble for Anaheim. And then it makes you like, what was it? Was it Mintukov who they were saying that was going to get offer sheeted as well?
Going to get offer sheeted. Then
doesn't help when his agent is putting out the eyeballs as well and making some things. So you wonder.
I didn't see that.
Yeah. So I mean, it just goes to show you the whole new NHL. It's fascinating.
I mean, Cutter Gauthier is an RFA. He got 41 goals last year.
Sorry, I know we're towards the end of the show, but I just want to get my 2 cents in here quickly.
Yeah.
Is this Cutter Gauthier payback, right? We know what happened with Cutter Gauthier between the Flyers and the Ducks, right? And the other thing that immediately jumped to my mind, guys, is if Leo Carlson's making $17 million a year, which he will, because one of the 2 teams is going to pay him that. Like,
has to.
$17 million a year next year, either from Anaheim or Philadelphia.
18.
I was 18.
Or 18. Then what is Macklin Celebrini going to get?
He's going to get the exact max he can get. He's going to get the
$20 million?
$1 million.
I think he
has. If he wants every penny that is available to him, then he can get the max contract that's available.
But you know what I'm trying to say here, Drew, is that, like, Elliot Friedman, I'm not sure if you guys read his latest article, but he essentially said, like, this changes everything in the NHL, right? Like, if you keep things in perspective, Connor McDavid, who obviously took a hometown discount, will be making $6 million less than Leo Carlson, to Dave's point, who's now just establishing himself as the number one center in the NHL, right? Like it just, it's like Dave said, Kaprizov kind of started this madness, and Drew always calls it silly season. Well, I would say Danny Briere signing him to an $18 million offer sheet is silly season. I love it too. I think it's a great move for Philadelphia because, you know, if they get him, then that's your first line center for the next
5 years.
At least.
Well, I mean, it's a 5-year contract. So, I mean, at least.
But I'm just saying, like, they could sign him again. But
of course.
But I like the gamble. And it reminds me of Scott Stevens back in the day when Washington had to give back all of those first round picks, right? So I think it's a great move by Philly.
What I love is that, first of all, I love that the Philadelphia Flyers are supposed to be the bullies of the NHL. And they've sort of ceded that mantle a little bit to the Vegas Golden Knights as of late.
I'd say Florida is going to be in the bully category too this upcoming season.
On the ice, no question. But the Flyers are supposed to be the Al Davis Oakland Raiders of the NHL, where they're the renegade franchise that is going to do anything in their power to win. Damn the consequences of their actions. I love what Danny Briere has done here. He sent a signal to the entire NHL. He sent a signal to his fan base and to the entire NHL that the Philadelphia Flyers are going to be around and they are going to play for keeps, game in, game out, contract negotiation out. The Flyers are supposed to be a team and a franchise that the other franchises hate. I love this. This is so much fun. I love that Karlsson signed the contract. I love that Philadelphia offered it to him. And frankly, given the rest of the contracts that are already signed there in Philadelphia, it's not like it's going to throw their cap and their status, into shambles or anything along those lines. I mean, they're a couple of years away from Porter Martone, who of course came on the scene and had that big deal. Had a great season when he became an NHLer last year. He's still a couple seasons away. Zegras is an RFA, but if you're Philly and you have the cap space and you have it, go for it. Play for keeps. Just remind Anaheim that you don't like how it went down with Cutter Gauthier, and you're going to try and be bullying them, and you're going to kick sand in their face. I love every second of it.
Me too.
Anyways, that's, sort of when that came out yesterday, and of course the ramifications are going to be huge, but to see general managers playing for keeps and not playing nice and doing everything in their power, every team should have that philosophy. They should be friendly and forthcoming and polite and respectful to their peers, but at the same time, they should be sharpening the shivs to dig it into their peers at the same time.
And the only thing I would kind of touch on this is that if you have a good young player, you sign him to term.
Yeah.
You sign him to term. I mean, the reality is it didn't have to go this way between Leo Karlsson and the Ducks. They could have signed him last year. Like, they could have extended him previously and they didn't. So, I mean, it's kind of their own fault or, a disaster of their own making because the cap's going up. And this is, so again,
I wonder if it changes the Jets' philosophy. Kevin Cheveldayoff has been a grinder.
Again, that's what I was going to say. And, looking at the chat, people saying like, what is this going to do to small market teams? I think what it's going to do is it's going to force them to sign guys earlier and for longer term deals. So you're going to have to take flyers and take a risk on a guy who may not, kind of like the Scheifele deal, right? You have faith in them, but you haven't really seen them do it. You're going to have to do more of those if you want to lock your good young core pieces up for long term.
And specifically, sorry, I just want to get I know we want to wrap up here, Drew, but like another guy who's been mentioned, Dave, I'm sure you've seen this, is like Adam Fantilli, right? Like on Columbus. He's now played 3 full seasons, and he was third overall in that same draft. And so he hasn't signed yet, but the belief is that Fantilli will be signed earlier than he might have otherwise been signed because of the Leo Karlsson offer sheet.
What's Jason Robertson going to get now?
Well, I mean, to be honest with you, it's funny. Well,
he's not getting 18 million. I'll tell you that much.
No, I mean,
he turned down 15 from Seattle.
Well, yeah, I don't think he's getting more than that, but I could be wrong.
96 points last year, has he?
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean,
he's 26 years old. 4 years. You say
he's a 40. He's a perennial 40 goal scorer.
4 years, 80 million. You don't think it's possible that somebody's going to sign him to that?
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I think it'll be closer to 15 million a year or 14 million a year, but I could be wrong.
I mean, it's what the NHL Players Association should be doing absolute cartwheels.
Yes.
Over what the Philadelphia Phillies have done with contracts in
Phillies?
this league. Sorry, the Philadelphia Flyers.
That sounds like a guy who's been to Philadelphia recently.
Yeah, you know, I got Phillies on the mind as of late. What can I say? Flyers is what I meant. But
By the way, I felt bad for our good friend Anthony Sanfilippo because he like tweeted out a couple days ago, and he was going on vacation for 10 days. And I was like, I saw the news yesterday or the day before, whatever it was, and I was like, "Ooh, Anthony, you might want to get back from that vacation pretty quick."
Anyways, fun times in the NHL. We'll have plenty more to discuss on next week's edition of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.
The last week,
the season finale of the Illegal Curve Hockey Show for next season. Until then, we remind everybody.
That's season 17, the end of 17 seasons, Drew?
I think so. Didn't we do our 17th anniversary this year?
Yeah, 17 seasons, Yazzie. And I was here for all 17.
Yeah. You haven't missed the show, in fact, Dave. It's really remarkable. In any event, if you haven't already done so this morning, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel, turn your notifications on, tell your friends, tell your family the best place to be after each and every Winnipeg Jets game. I guess the schedule should come out this week, maybe this week or next week.
I believe it comes out next week.
I was going to say it's not next. We were trying to get that from the Jets social media team, and they basically said it won't be. They don't expect it this week. They expect it to be the following week.
Yeah, the week of the 13th is what I heard, Dave.
Well, there you go. Then the
hashtag insider.
The post-game shows are not too far away, but in the meantime, we also have Saturday morning, so you can keep it locked to that next Saturday, the one last
Canada,
show
baby. Huge
before we go
today.
away for the season finale. Canada starts in about 45 or so minutes against Morocco, so go watch that, everybody. We want to say a big thank you to all of our sponsors, Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, our good friends at Play Now. They're the title sponsor, Holt Dental, City Place, Wheatland Hockey, and of course Boston Pizza as well. Be sure you support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve Hockey. Big thanks to Jamie Thomas. Big thanks to Mario Ferraro. In case you missed any of those interviews, be sure to download them, be sure to watch them, be sure to listen to the podcast, and be sure to tell your friends about just how much fun you've had on this Saturday morning. For my colleague Dave Manouk, for my colleague Agriculture Ginsburg, I am your host, Drew Mandel. Thanks everybody for joining us. Go Canada, go. If it's Saturday, it's the Illegal Curve Hockey Show.